Hello and welcome to my channel. Welcome to another reading from me. Today's topic is going to be predictions for March 2026. Had to zoom in a bit, sorry. I will be honest, I was actually thinking about, I was not 100% sure that I wanted to do another monthly prediction since I haven't done them in quite a while. And in the grand scheme of things, these are not the readings that are most in demand on my channel. However, I do know that there are people who look forward to them. And I actually asked Spirit if I should do this prediction reading or not. And it came out as a very strong, definite yes. So it sounds like some people really need to hear their predictions for March 2026. So I'm going to postpone it. I'm going to postpone the other ideas that I had for general romantic oriented readings because I know those are the ones that are most in demand. I'm going to postpone them for next week. But yeah, here it is. So some of you need to hear your predictions. I really hope you enjoy them and make the most of them. And as usual, I want to start by saying that I have chosen the crystals intuitively from my collection by asking Spirit which crystals I should choose for this particular topic. And these are the ones that came out in this order. So pile number 1, you have this milky quartz crystal. It's kind of dirty, actually. I need to clean it. I don't know how that ended up. I keep them all in the same bag and they probably it probably scratched. I mean, another crystal must have scratched it or something. Pile number 2, you have this amethyst cluster. Have not used this one in quite some time, so I was intrigued that I felt drawn to it. And pile number 3, we have this kunzite crystal. All right. So these are your options. Once again, pile number 1, number 2, number 3. This is for those of you who want to choose with just crystals. You can pause to meditate upon the question. As usual, my recommendation is that you take some moments to allow your mind to relax, to go blank a little bit. Keep your eyes closed for a few moments. Take some deep breaths. Exhale longer than you inhale. The one that I stick to is 7 seconds inhaling, 4 seconds holding your breath, and 8 seconds exhaling. This is actually also used for anxiety management, and it helps. It helps. I've done it when I've had anxiety myself, and yeah, if you do it for at least 10 deep breaths, you will see that it helps you to calm you down, to help your mind calm down. And once you have allowed your mind to go blank while meditating upon the question, open your eyes and choose the first crystal that stands out to you intuitively without overthinking it. If you feel drawn to 2 of them or even all 3 of them, you can watch all of them and take whichever messages resonate. Before I sign off, I want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. It's the easiest way to support me and it is free. Also, consider clicking on the notifications bell if you want to see when I upload a new reading. And of course, feel free to comment in the comment section with any feedback you would like to give about this particular reading or topics that you would like to see on my channel in the future. Thank you. I will see you at your pile. So welcome again. This is for those of you who want to choose with a card as well as a crystal. This is going to be the selection for each of the 3 cards. I'm going to use these oracle cards, which I have not used in quite some time. They're called Nature's Whispers Tarot. Oracle, sorry. Yeah, they're pretty nice. I like them. So let's see. Spirit, tell me about pile number 1. What is coming into their lives in March 2026? Spirit, tell me about pile number 2. What is coming into their lives in March 2026? Spirit, tell me about pile number 3. What is coming into their lives in March 2026? All right. Let's see. Pile number 1, we have breakthrough. number 8. Pile number 2, you have illumination, number 2. Pile number 3, we have open your heart, number 10. They're all purple. Interesting. Well, not entirely, but yeah. Anyway, these are your options. Let me zoom in. Okay, so this is for those of you who want to choose with a card as well as a crystal. Pile number 1, you have this milky quartz crystal. Oh, great. It's not going to focus. There it is. Pile number 2, you have this card over here and or this amethyst crystal. Pile number 3, you have this card over here and or this kunzite crystal. All right, so these are your options. As usual, my recommendation is that you take some moments to meditate upon the question. You can also ask some specific questions, personal questions, with respect to advice that you would like Spirit to give you, maybe about specific situations. But you have to keep it, you have to keep it in such a way as to, make it plausible that it could be answered through predictions for March 2026, right? So yeah, but you can tweak it a little bit if you have more specific questions. And my recommendation, as usual, like I said, is to take some moments to allow your mind to relax, to go blank, meditate upon the question, take some deep breaths, exhale longer than you inhale. Normally, the recommended breathing technique is 7 seconds inhale, 4 seconds holding your breath, 8 seconds exhaling. This is recommended in anxiety management as well, and it's something that I have found to be quite useful. Yeah, it helps to calm you down. And if you take 10 of these deep breaths while meditating upon the question with your eyes closed, it helps a lot to calm your mind and to get you in touch with your intuition. And open your eyes after that and choose the first pile that stands out to you intuitively, either the card or the crystal. And of course, if you have a hard time choosing between 2 or even all 3 of them, it is possible that there are messages that you need to hear from several piles. So feel free to watch several or even all of them and take whichever messages resonate. So this has been what I wanted to say. As usual, I do want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. If you have found value in any of my readings, it is the easiest way to support me and it is free. And consider clicking on the notifications bell if you want to be notified when I upload a new tarot reading on my channel. Also, feel free to comment in the comment section with any feedback you would like to give about this reading, as long as you keep it respectful, of course. And feel free to share any suggestions for future topics that you would like me to cover on this channel. I will take them into account. Thank you, and I will see you at your pile. So, welcome pile number 1. This is your reading if you have chosen this card over here, number 8, Breakthrough, and or this milky quartz crystal. So this is going to be the card selection phase. I am going to add timestamps so you can skip directly to the interpretation because I will be taking my time. All right, so let me start with the tarot cards. Spirit, what can you tell me for pile number 1, the people who chose the milky quartz crystal? What will the month of March 2026 bring into their lives? Okay, so we have 4 of Cups, we have Judgment, we have the Hermit, we have 2 of Swords, we have Page of Pentacles, we have the Empress. Spirit, what can you tell me for pile number 1, the Milky Quartz Crystal Group? What will the month of March 2026 bring into their lives? Wow, Judgment twice. Okay, I need to fix the camera a little bit because I don't think you can see them properly. So, pile number 1, I already can see why. I don't know if you watched the introduction part where I actually said this, that I asked Spirit if I should do a predictions for March 2026 because I wasn't sure if I should do it because it's not normally a very in-demand topic on my channel compared to love readings and such. But I said that obviously it came as a very strong yes, and I think that's because people need to hear their predictions. At least some people really need to hear their predictions for March 2026. And I can see why, because I'm already getting confirmations of that. I mean, you have 2 cards coming out twice, which clearly show some very strong messages that you need to hear here. So you have the 4 of Cups that came out twice, and you have the Judgment card that came out twice, one underneath the other. This is pretty wild already. Okay, let me get some oracle cards. Spirit, tell me about pile number 1, the people who chose the Milky Quartz Crystal. What will March 2026 bring into their lives? Okay, both of these want to come out. Oh, wow, we have anger and past lives. And you had Judgment coming out twice. This is about some karmic-ish here. So we have anger. Safely express your anger. What does it say? Oh, use anger as a positive force. Honor all of your emotions as sacred. Release your past life karma. You are an old soul with deep wisdom. Healing your past lives will raise your vibration. This is deep, pile number 1. Okay. Let me get some more oracle cards. Tell me about pile number 1, Spirit. What's coming towards them in March 2026? Cycles. Whoa. These are all going hand in hand. Cycles, past lives. There's already a strong symmetry there between the vibes. The vibes are vibing, pile number 1. More oracle cards. Let's see. Pile number 1. What is coming towards them? And oh my god, your first card is breakthrough. And you have all these messages like the Judgment coming out twice. You have past lives. Okay, I'm going to hold that thought for after I get all the oracle cards. Dear love, be gentle with yourself. You heal with the power of love. See the light in all things. Acknowledge your self-worth and grace. Nice. And I want to get an oracle card from the Shaman wisdom cards. I always like to use these for like monthly predictions. So let's see, Spirit. What can you tell pile number 1 about the month of March 2026? What do they need to hear? Grass Moon, number 2, Taurus Pot's Child. Let's see what the description of the card says. I'm going to read it from the booklet. Where is the number 2? This is weird. Okay, found it. Grass Moon, April 20th to May 20th. Okay, that's basically roughly tropical Taurus, actually. So maybe some of you are born in this time interval, or you have Taurus placements, maybe in either tropical or sidereal. Taurus Pot's Child, these are key words for it. I am Grass Moon. I am the soft light of spring falling on the tall prairie grass. I am resources powerfully at hand. I am value. The great buffalo is illuminated in my subtle light as it falls on the tall prairie grass, gently wafting in the night breeze. The grass gracefully bends to the wind and the step of those who tread upon it, but provides food, shelter, and beauty sustenance for life. Rely on the resources at hand and your strength to gather an abundant supply. Wow. Your way is being lightened for increased possessions and financial prosperity. Don't look too far away or too high. You may miss what is underfoot, already present. Get down to earth, in quotation marks. You may want to roll in the grass on a moonlit night. Interesting, because like the moon is full or almost full, right now, because I've been taking pictures of it at night for like 2 days straight. 2 nights straight, sorry. Because, like, I don't know if you picked up on this, but I have mentioned it multiple times that I have problems sleeping. And I tend to go to bed in the early hours of the morning. Like, last night I went to bed at, like, 10 minutes before 4, and that's actually pretty early for me. But the night previous, I went to bed at, like, 2 or something, 2:15 a.m., and I couldn't help it, you know, in each night before I went to bed, I had to open the window and snap some pictures of the moon, because it's beautiful and full, and it lights the whole night sky, and you know, whatever. But I digress. Number 2 actually is ruled by the moon in numerology, and we have this connection to Taurus pot's child, so it makes me think of nurturing. It kind of goes hand in hand with this, be gentle with yourself, you heal with the power of love, see the light in all things, acknowledge your self-worth and grace. And like I said while I was shuffling, pile number 1, you have some very strong repeated themes here, particularly something that hints towards karma, past life karma even, that has to be cleared out. Now, this could actually refer to karma, but if you don't want to think of it in terms of that, maybe you don't believe in karma, think of it in terms of maybe transgenerational negative patterns that are passed down from one generation to another, that you might have the chance to break. And this month somehow is going to be significant in the breaking of that karma. Or what I think is most plausible, especially considering that this is a monthly prediction, so it's not particularly long term, is this is about you breaking away from your old patterns, your old cycles, right? Because we have these repeated themes. So we have Judgment, the Judgment card coming out twice, once underneath the other. And the Judgment can be looked at from 2 different perspectives. It is a connection to things like karma and things that are destined or predestined, but then it's also connected to literally judgment, like literally your capacity to discern, your capacity to think for yourself. And again, interestingly enough, we have the double moon symbolism because we have the number 20 on it, which again is 2 + 0 = 2 in numerology, that is ruled by the moon. And then we have this past lives energy here from the Oracle card that says, release your past life karma. You are an old soul with deep wisdom. Healing your past lives will raise your vibration. Now again, this could literally be about healing past lives. It could be about clearing out some karma, but on a more down-to-earth level, it could just be about you letting go of self-hatred, letting go of old patterns of doing things that are not productive, that are not really conducive to your growth or your happiness. And this is very strong. Like, this is such a strong message. In fact, we have, sorry that I'm jumping around, but this is how my brain works. There's a very strong, definite message overall that this is about you working on your capacity to think, your thinking, your thought patterns. Because not only do we have the Judgment twice, but we have the 4 of Cups twice, which also speaks of discernment, which I see that for most of you, you're already on that path. And holy shit, you also have the moon. Why didn't I see this already? So like, there's a lot of moon going on here. Now, this could, on the one hand, show that you actually are a very moon-dominant individual. So, like, maybe you have a very strong moon in your horoscope. Let's not forget that you did have the Oracle card that said Taurus. So, the moon is exalted in Taurus, which means it's very strong. Taurus has a stabilizing effect on the moon. It's a healthy, solid earth sign, which takes things back to basics, you know, uncomplicates things, nurtures. So the moon feels safe in Taurus. It feels stable. This is why the moon is exalted, because moon normally is kind of all over the place. It's, you know, scattered, it's wishy-washy, it waxes and wanes. So it typically connects to a lot of instability. But the fact that you have the Taurus here and the Judgment, and you have all these messages of like moving away from anger, well, honoring your anger, but then also practicing self-love, the message of cycles, of letting go of past karma. I really think that, and also let's not forget the initial card of breakthrough, that this is showing that during the month of March, you're going to see a lot more stability, particularly when it comes to your mental and emotional state. But of course, just like that oracle card said, the this one, like the grass moon one, this is also an increase of finances, because let's not also forget, look at this, we have the ending of the reading, so this is the outcome. Okay, so this may not happen during the month of March, but as of a result of everything that's going to happen in the month of March, it could actually start happening in the month of March, but definitely as a result of you doing everything right, so like taking Spirit's advice in the month of March, you will reach this Empress and Three of Stones or Three of Pentacles energy. Number 3 shows up on both of them, which is ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter is the great benefic in astrology. It's about opportunities. It's about wealth, cash flow, optimism, joy, faith. And we have the Empress and the Three of Stones in particular. This is kind of like an apprentice sort of vibe. So it shows career, but in the beginning stages. So for instance, getting an internship, getting a new job, but like something that is like an opportunity, but it's not something that is, extraordinary as in a rags to riches thing, but it does show an improvement. So for some of you, this could be like maybe you're going to get an opportunity to work after the month of March as a result of the things that you are doing now. Or you're going to get an increase of, I don't know, clients if you are self-employed, for instance. Or somehow, maybe there could be a little windfall happening afterwards, etc., right? Or some opportunity that you will spot to make money is going to increase your wealth as a result of the month of March or by the end of the month of March. But I did jump directly to, like, these are the general vibes, okay, that I picked up, but then I also want to go through each of these pillars, so to speak, so each of these columns, right, of the 6 columns, and break them down. So we have, first of all, we have 4 of Cups, we have the Moon. So this is like your current state at the moment that you come across this reading. So this shows me that you're already very lost in thought. Like you are someone who is, now this could be in a literal sense, like maybe you started to meditate, for instance, but I think overall, whether you've actually started to meditate or not, this just shows that you're in a pretty introspective point of view right now in life. Like, maybe you are going within, looking at your own behavior, trying to understand why you feel certain things, maybe past patterns of behaviors, maybe mistakes that you think you've made. So there's definitely this vibe of introspection, because the 4 of Cups is, again, sorry for jumping around, but the number 4, again, kind of also connects to the moon in a weird way, in a roundabout way, because the number 4 can connect to the 4th house, that's how I see it anyway, which is the house that corresponds to Cancer and therefore the moon. But then from the purely numerological perspective, number 4 is a number that connects to stability. So again, we have this combination of the moon and stability, just like with the original oracle card of Taurus and the moon. So this idea that the mind is stabilizing, because of your introspection, because of your increase in self-awareness, you feel more stable, more in control of yourself. You understand how things function. Now, of course, since this is a general reading, there could be, countless ways to read this in a more personal sense. This could even mean, for instance, if you have been taking psych meds, for instance, you're starting to realize how these meds have been affecting you in some ways. Maybe you're starting to notice side effects that you hadn't considered initially, and you're rethinking whether you should keep staying on them, or, changing them, etc., right? Thinking about going to therapy, etc. But the moon showing up here, the moon in tarot in particular, and also in astrology actually, connects to the subconscious. And the fact that the moon shows up underneath the Four of Cups, this is, again, kind of carries this message of stabilizing the subconscious, you know, stabilizing the conflict between your subconscious, your instinctive side, your, you know, autopilot side, and on the other hand, your conscious side, the self-aware, the part that is in control of itself. I guess it's what you're going through a process, I guess, of what people would call emotional regulation nowadays, which I personally think is a crap term, but whatever. That's my opinion. You're free to ignore it. But yeah, kind of like that. The idea is that you will feel more stable and you're in a process of stabilizing your emotions, all right? And I feel like this sense of stability, because you're stabilizing your mind, because of this work that you're going through, it's going to lead to outside stability, of course. This is why by the end you are getting the Empress and the Three of Pentacles, you know? Like, you're going to see some things clearly, which will open your eyes to opportunities that are before you, and maybe actually attract new opportunities, right? Like, for instance, if, let's say, you are working either as a student or maybe you are working in a company, because you are more present, because you're more involved, maybe people around you will start to notice you and give you new opportunities, for instance, right? But yeah, this is the first position. Then we have the Judgment showing up twice, which is amazing. This is what's supporting you, by the way. So the second pillar is what is supporting you in the month of March. So this shows that what is supporting you is your judgment, okay? Your capacity to think, basically. Your own reasoning abilities, right? So judgment here, as opposed to the moon, actually shows self-awareness. So it shows, so it's actual thinking, it's conscious thinking, you know, whereas the moon is more like intuition, feelings, you know, gut reactions. So there are things that are kind of hidden. They're kind of in the subconscious, right? So you are being supported by your conscious mind, by your capacity to make the subconscious conscious in this month. In addition to that, like I said, there could be this added extra explanation that you might also be guided by fate, okay, in March 2026. Like, there could be some things that are just maybe planned for you, and nobody can know that for sure 100%. And this is not, I'm not going to get into this discussion, but if you're curious, I have done a lot of videos about my feelings on, my thoughts, my feelings, my experiences on karma on my astrology channel, Astro Martine. So if you're curious, you can go look for them there. But yeah, actually I might link them in the video description, but I'll see. This is the bottom line, though. So you are basically going to develop conscious thought, rational thought, self-awareness. And this is supporting you throughout the month of March to make the most of life, right? Then we have the opposition, which is very interesting. We have the Hermit, and we have the Queen of Cups underneath, right here, right? So one thing that I noticed is we have the number 9 on the Hermit, just as we have the number, well, hold on. No, this is not the number 9. Yeah, it is the number 9. So we have the number 18 here on the moon, which boils down to a number 9 in numerology. So the number 9, again, connects to this anger card, because in numerology, it's ruled by Mars. So it's not only, I would say, anger, but it's so it's not only Mars, sorry, it's kind of like a combination. It's almost kind of like Moon-Mars conjunct, actually. So maybe some of you actually have an aspect between Mars and your moon and in your horoscope. Would not be surprised if that were the case. That would definitely explain the card so far. But basically the anger stuff, you know, is going to be in your path. It's going to be in your way, okay? So this is the stuff you need to watch out for in the month of March, that you don't get carried away by anger, that you don't isolate too much. So Hermit is not always about, you know, being totally alone, for instance. But the Hermit speaks of being a little bit too discerning, you know? So like the Hermit is the type that is like my way or the highway, and if people don't agree with me, or if people are even remotely different than I am or remotely against the way I do things, I will just cut them out of my life. So Spirit is telling you that this is not going to be helpful attitude in the month of March. So you need to stay more open-minded. Yes, it is good to be introspective, to work on yourself, but at the same time, beware of having this isolation tendency, this tendency to isolate yourself from other people. And since we have the Queen of Cups underneath, this makes me think that this is maybe going to sound really weird, but Spirit is like both giving you a warning and a compliment at the same time. So it makes me think that the reason you have isolated, if you have this tendency, is because you're actually very spiritually and emotionally elevated. So the Queen of Cups, again, kind of boils down to moon energy. It's kind of like a refined, advanced moon archetype, you know? So a woman that is very emotionally wise, mature, has maybe a lot of emotional intelligence, can read people very well, trusts her intuition. So Spirit is telling you that you are probably the type that has a very good capacity to read people. You know, you're a good judge of character as well. And while sometimes that keeps you safe and that can be a helpful skill, definitely, there might also be times where, because you can read people too well, maybe you jump to conclusions too quickly about people, or you think that because you can read them well, they're not particularly interesting to you, or maybe you think they have nothing to teach you, you know? So in other words, I feel like there's a warning of not being too prejudiced, and consider the fact that even if people are maybe predictable and maybe not as advanced as you intuitively or emotionally, that doesn't mean that they cannot help you in your path or that you have nothing to learn from them, okay? So this is what I'm seeing here. So watch out for a tendency to isolate. Watch out for having too much of a tendency of thinking in terms of my way or the highway, because this could be detrimental to you in the month of March. Then we have the Two of Swords and we have the Nine of Swords. Holy Mother of Christ. Okay, so this is the past. Normally I read this as the recent past, but it could also be like your entire past up until this point. So again, we have the number 2. These are all, this whole reading feels like 50 Shades of the Moon, you know what I mean? Like it's all different interpretations of the moon energy, you know? Some of them positive, some of them, it's like different facets of the same base energy. And I feel like you've gone through it. You've gone through the full range of human emotions up until this point, no matter how old you are. But the Two of Swords here is, again, number 2, connected to the moon energy. And the Two of Swords speaks of indecisiveness, all right? Not just indecisiveness, but a lot of hesitation, not knowing which way to go. Should I stay or should I go? That kind of like that song. And now this could be very specific. It could have been like you kept hovering back and forth between 2 different paths in life or 2 different ways of doing things. See if that resonates. But it could just be indecisiveness in general, like this tendency to hesitate too much, a tendency to maybe miss out on opportunities because you have sat there on the fence, you know, and not known what to do exactly. And then we have the Nine of Swords underneath, which definitely shows me that this has caused a lot of anxiety. So a lot of overthinking that has led to anxiety, to stress, maybe even to downright depression. And again, we have the number 9 here. Holy shit, pile number 1. Please comment in the comment section if you have some kind of contact between Moon and Mars energy, because there's so much Moon and Mars in here. Maybe Jupiter as well, to some extent, because we have the number 3, and the number 9 could also connect to the 9th house. which is the house that corresponds to Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. But I am seeing, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Mars and Moon, which would definitely explain it, because in astrology, the Moon-Mars connection in a natal horoscope tends to show, on the one hand, potential traumas in early childhood, because Mars is a very harsh aspect. But then it also, at the same time, because of that, can lead to things like having an over-agitated, reactive mind, having a tendency to be short-tempered, to burn bridges very early, to be very kind of abrupt as a person, too blunt, too rough, kind of a bull in a china shop sometimes. Again, interesting symbolism, because we also have Taurus energy. But yeah, I'm curious. Doesn't have to be the case, irrespective though. Okay, so to some extent, by the way, this could also show if you have maybe Moon in the first house, Moon in especially Moon in Aries, not so much the first house, also Moon in Scorpio, or maybe if you have Mars in Cancer. That's another one. Mars is debilitated actually in Cancer for good reason. But anyway, doesn't matter, irrespective of what your horoscope is. This is the general tendency, because of course you could reach the same sort of energies, the same personality traits through multiple configurations in the horoscope. But I would say, since there's so much Moon and Mars going on, it would make sense that you would have some kind of contact between Moon and Mars. I think that's most likely. But yeah, the bottom line is, maybe there is a tendency. Also, I feel like maybe you are the kind of person that has regrets about the past. Like, you're spending too much time thinking about what could have been, and instead of looking forward, looking towards what great opportunities are before you, because I definitely see good things happening for you, especially in the month of March, all right? And not only that, but it's not just that good things are going to happen in the month of March, but I feel like with these cards, Spirit is telling you that you're actually in the beginning stages of a new path in life that is heading towards more positivity, if you make the right decisions, right? But yeah, and then we have the Page of Pentacles, we have the Four of Cups. So this shows what Spirit is telling you to do. Like, what is the actual attitude that you should have to make the most of this month, and yeah, what modus operandi you should have, I guess. So we have Page of Pentacles, we have Four of Cups. So again, Spirit is telling you it's very important with the Four of Cups to use your judgment, okay, to think before you act. And also with the Page of Cups, there is an added meaning of discernment. So this is about knowing when to say no, as in making it clear. For instance, I don't know, like, if let's say your priority is to, I don't know, maybe you're working towards a certain profession or something. Let's say your priority is to improve your health in the next year. And you know that, for instance, certain jobs would increase your stress too much, or maybe you have to work night shifts, right? And you know that that would be bad for your health. Then stick your ground and do not settle. Obviously, I'm not telling you to not settle if you are about to be evicted because you can't pay your bills. Maybe in some situations, yes, you have to settle. But if you can have if you still have a choice, if it's not totally a desperate situation, then hold the line, basically, until you actually get something that is in line with what you want in the long term. And the Page of Pentacles, again, speaks of having an attitude of taking things one thing at a time, taking it slow and steady, and making the most of the opportunities at hand. You did have that original Oracle card with the grass moon that spoke about all the resources around you and also being flexible. So keep an open mind, make the most of opportunities around you. And this is also giving me kind of like a feeling of, this is the vibe that I'm getting of like someone, finding money, like finding coins in the grass or something, or finding stuff that is valuable on the ground, like basically once you quiet your mind, you might see opportunities that were there all along, but you didn't notice them, didn't know how to make the most of them. Or again, because of the stability of your mind, like I said in the beginning, you could just be attracting more opportunities, more people trusting you, wanting to invest in you, etc., right? So learn how to make the most of that. Then we have the Empress with the Three of Pentacles, which I've already gone over. So this is the ultimate outcome of the month of March. Now, like I said, this could be happening by the end of the month of March, maybe even during to some extent, but this is mostly long term. What's going to happen as a result of you going through all of these things in the month of March, which is you reaching that Empress with the Three of Pentacles. So Empress is, again, kind of that Moon and Taurus energy. You know, it's kind of like calm, secure, in her lane, not giving a F about other people and what they think, kind of calmly and quietly just doing her thing, knowing her worth. There was also a message about self-worth over there, which makes sense, again, because you had this dear love and this anger thing. Like, honor your anger, but then also learn to love yourself, basically. And the Empress is also about physical beauty. And so this could also refer to a glow up during the month of March. Now, a month is kind of short for a glow up, but it could definitely take you to that. Again, it could be in the long run, like I said, not necessarily by the end of March, but maybe as a result of you clearing out self-sabotaging behaviors, right? You could reach a point where you become physically more attractive and healthier as well. And yeah, the Three of Pentacles, like I said, this is about you will have the opportunity to build a foundation now of solid material well-being, whether this is a career or finances or both. So yeah, this is pretty much what I see from the cards. Let me get some Astrology Oracle cards. So let's see, pile number one. Spirit, tell me about pile number one. What is going to happen for them? What is coming towards them in the month of March 2026? Oh, wow. We have Lilith. If you come from my astrology channel, you know why I'm excited. Probably I just recently posted a video about the Lilith archetype, and it's actually going to be like a mini series. I did mention in my recent video that I hope to post the next one in a couple of weeks about Lilith dominant women. So yes, if you're curious about that, check out my astrology channel. But let me unpack everything. So actually, I was going to say this from the beginning, but I didn't mention it. I'm going to mention it now. I did notice the number 8 here. Breakthrough. And look at this woman, all exciting. Like, oh my God, it makes me think of that song by Queen. I love it. Breakthrough. Was it? Breakthrough? That's the way it went. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that they had a song called Breakthrough. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I love Queen anyway. So we have, anyway, the number 8. I was going to say number 8 is ruled by Saturn. In numerology, it is connected to Saturn and or Pluto, but traditionally mostly Saturn. And again, we have Saturn here, and we have the 10th house. So Saturn is the natural ruler of Capricorn, and Capricorn corresponds to the 10th house. The 10th house, by the way, is also known, well, Saturn as well. Saturn is actually also known as the Lord of Karma in Vedic astrology. And the 10th house has to deal with something called social karma. Things you have to, this is why it's connected to career, you know, in more layman's terms. But career, when you think about it, is your social karma. It's what you have to do for the world at large, for the greater good. So we have the 10th house here. We have the square energy. We have Neptune, which is the natural ruler of Pisces, which Pisces also is ruled by Jupiter, actually, in Vedic astrology. It's water energy. So I would take all the Neptune energy to be a representation of all the water, all the moon energy that came through as well. And we also have Saturn and Lilith, last but not least. So 10th house and Saturn. together with this Three of Pentacles, clearly gives me a message that career is going to be a priority for you in the month of March. So you really need to watch out for opportunities showing up. But as I said before, it all stems from doing the inner work, watching your attitude, your thought processes on a regular basis, making sure that you don't self-sabotage, basically, to make the most of opportunities. But I definitely feel like there are some positive things coming for you when it comes to career, some kind of breakthrough. Now, for those of you who maybe have been looking for a breakthrough for a while, like maybe you're a creative, for instance, and you've been in a writer's block or something, or you've been looking for some kind of, great idea that will push you forward, there are very high chances that this is going to happen for you in the month of March. But remember that in order to do that, you have to clear out your cache and cookies over here in your mind. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of potential baggage at the back of your mind that is like creating a lot of inner noise. So things like meditate, calming down, maybe taking up a creative hobby just to flush out your emotions into a healthy direction so that they don't build up and cloud your reasoning ability. All of that is going to help you prepare to make the most of the opportunities that will come before you in the month of March. 10th house is also about social status, literally career. So for those of you, again, this is a general reading, so maybe some of you are have worked harder towards your career, some of you are really at the beginning stages, so depending on where you're at, this could also show, of course, that you might have a work opportunity show up for you in the month of March. Or if you're already working, this could show an increase in social status and respectability. I don't know, like your boss is going to notice what you're doing. You're going to get positive feedback, stuff like that. And Saturn, however, and the 10th house, both of these showing up with limits and lessons. Hello. And this is also why it's very telling that it came through as the Lord of Karma, because we have Judgment coming out twice, which is also connected to karma. So this is where it makes me think of potentially some kind of fated element here. With Saturn, I have to tell you that it shows you will have to work hard. So this is not going to be an easy month for you, but there are plenty of rewards kind of scattered in between, if you know how to look for them, if you quiet your mind, and most specifically, if you do all the work, Saturn will reward you later, right? Because Saturn is all about testing your commitment. Like, how badly do you want something, right? Especially for those of you who maybe are working towards something specific, or you've wanted something in particular for a long time. Like, I don't know, maybe learning a language, learning programming, learning something, for instance, or trying to get a job at a particular company. You kept applying or something, stuff like that, right? So if you keep at it, if you keep persevering, working hard, perfecting yourself, and expecting that there will be a delay in gratification, that it's not going to happen overnight, Saturn will reward you, but it wants to see that you are committed, that you are serious about your craft. All right? It's also worth mentioning that Saturn will bring about anything that has been neglected on your part. So, and again, since this is a general reading, this could refer to anything. So whether it has been a health problem, whether it has been, I don't know, the plumbing in your house that you didn't fix in time, whether it is your car or something, anything that is wrong with your life, with your body, with your surroundings, maybe with relationships, things you have procrastinated, things you have dismissed, are likely to cause you trouble during the month of March. So if you know that you have a lot of things like that are kind of like, have been tossed to the background of your mind and you're no longer thinking about them, or you have procrastinated for a long time, even though you know that they're a risk, take care of them ASAP, basically, because the longer you allow things to go to develop negatively, right? The higher the chances will be that it will turn into something very bad that will actually drain your time and energy even more. That's what Saturn does. And especially since Saturn connects to things like medically, it connects to the feet, minerals in the body. So again, if you have any mineral deficiencies that you haven't taken care of, this is the time to start taking them very seriously, because the longer they go unattended, the higher the chances that they will lead to things that you can't even foresee right now, but will become problems, at some point in the future, maybe even during this month, Also, anything connected to the feet, to bones, to the teeth, these are things you need to take care of ASAP, basically, with this Saturn placement. Then we have the square. So this is brilliant because it takes me back to that initial feeling that there's a lot of Moon and Mars combination here in this reading. So maybe some of you, like I said, you have maybe some kind of Moon and Mars either aspecting one another in the natal chart, or maybe you just happen to have a lot of Moon and Mars prominent in your horoscope. But the square energy goes hand in hand with this idea that you kind of have to clear your mind, because there might be different parts of yourself, different parts of your consciousness that are at odds with one another and fighting each other. So you're wasting a lot of time on inner conflict and hesitation, instead of, working things through and making sure that all parts of yourself are united with the same purpose and don't get in each other's way, right? So this is why I think maybe meditation, psychotherapy, keeping a dream diary, keeping a diary in general could be very helpful for you in the month of March to get you through these processes that Spirit has told you that you clearly have to go through in order to progress. Then we have Lilith, last but not least. So in this month, now for some of you, maybe you actually have a prominent Lilith, okay? Maybe you identify with the archetype of Lilith, which is kind of an outcast energy, It's the energy of people who are misunderstood. Sadly, sometimes people who are the target of unwanted sexual attention, people who get projected on a lot, etc., etc. So, but on the other hand, the Lilith archetype also gives people a strong insight into human nature, particularly because they often are targets of misunderstandings, of projections, and so they become very sensitive with respect to how to read people and how people project on them, etc., etc. So they tend to have a very good instinctive understanding of human nature. But showing up in the month of March, there could be themes of Lilith resurfacing, or maybe surfacing for the first time for some of you in the month of March. Meaning there might be times when you feel isolated, where you feel ostracized even, where you feel misunderstood. You might have to deal with people projecting on you again. And I feel like this ties into that Hermit and Queen of Cups energy in opposition. That you should not lose your temper, and you should try to understand these people, even if it is frustrating, okay? So don't immediately cut people out of your life. Don't burn every bridge before thinking things through, because you might be missing out on opportunities. Even if some people, now obviously I'm not telling you be friends with narcissists and sociopaths. If you're actually dealing with people who are very difficult, just do the gray rock, I don't know. But at the very least, don't make, what's that word? There's an expression, sorry, not a word, but I forgot what it's like in English. Basically, don't make a problem bigger than it is, right? So if you're dealing with a difficult person, don't start open conflict, right? Or say things that are gonna make them just hate you even more and lead to escalation of arguments, for instance, right? Just understand, okay, you understand this person is difficult, blah, blah, blah. Just carry on with your life and make the most of circumstances, right? And try not to take things personally, because not everybody is at the level of understanding and emotional development that you are at. More specifically for women, this could be a month of, well, not just for women, although Lilith does carry that, wounded feminine archetype. Holy shit, I just realized with the past lives and the judgment, yeah, so like maybe some of you, especially as women, come from like a long line of women who have felt misunderstood, or maybe again have dealt with things like being ostracized, being hated, projected upon just for being themselves. So maybe in this case, you're carrying like a lot of heavy emotions around this archetype, you know, so that would make you even more sensitive to things like being, going through through the same things, you know, being misunderstood, being ostracized, etc. But again, this is an opportunity in March to heal through that stuff. So again, you have this, dear love, be gentle with yourself. You heal with the power of love. See the light in all things. Acknowledge your self-worth and grace. And then we have anger. By the way, Lilith also connects to repressed anger because of all the crap they tend to go through. Safely express your anger. Use anger as a positive force. Honor all of your emotions as sacred. So use anger as a positive force is something that I can definitely see kind of oozing through this entire spread. Actually, it's actually one of the good things about Moon-Mars connections in the horoscope. Even though you may not have the Moon-Mars, like I said, you still carry this kind of archetype based on this reading, right? Whether it's Moon-Mars or some other combination that creates the same blending of like anger being a thing in your life. But, you know, anger can definitely be used as a positive force, you know. It can be used as you feeling motivated to change things about your environment or about your life that you don't like, getting out of a stuck situation because of hello, breakthrough. Oh my God, that was so bad. I feel like Freddie Mercury would have slapped me, but I don't. They had a song, Queen had a song that was called Breakthrough. I'm pretty sure, like I'm 99% sure. Or maybe it was just a song that started with him singing that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is, right, you should have this breakthrough energy of changing your circumstance because, and again, I'm sorry for diverting this a little bit into psychology, but if you read on depression, the number one cause of depression, according to psychological studies, is repressed anger. So if you are someone who, let's say, has dealt with depression, and I feel like some of you have with this Nine of Swords in the past, you need to really understand that there's probably a lot that you're angry about, or there's a lot of anger that you have turned towards yourself when you should have actually been angry at people and circumstances, right? This would be especially true for people who are stuck living with narcissists, whether it's in a narcissistic family or with narcissistic parents who, partners, sorry, Freudian slip. It's like, I just got a flash of that meme with Freud where there's a picture of Freud and it said, a Freudian slip is when you say one thing but mean your mother, I mean another. So yeah, anyway, some of you, okay, you have been around people, again, with that Lilith, maybe you have been the scapegoat in a narcissistic family system, or if you have been in a romantic relationship with narcissists, with one narcissist is enough already. You may have dealt with the psychological abuse that they put you through, the gaslighting, the, you know, shifting of blame, the constant criticisms, etc., the constant attacks to your confidence and self-esteem. And so this is definitely Spirit telling you that you should be angry about those things. Your anger is valid, it's justified, but just don't allow it to get out of control to the point where you end up in prison, because it ain't worth it, is it? And instead, use that anger as a way to keep that engine running, that motivation for you to change your circumstances, to get better, to make the most of the opportunities around you. And at the same time, I feel, considering everything that has come through, Spirit is also, I think, telling you to be a little bit more self-aware. I mean, it was obvious from the beginning with the Four of Cups showing up twice, the Judgment showing up twice. Even if I didn't say it specifically, right? Self-awareness is important. So take a step back, try to look at yourself from an outside perspective, okay? And try to think about how other people might see you in different circumstances. That will help you understand maybe how you come across, maybe why sometimes people might feel uncomfortable around you, etc., etc. So that would help you deal with that hermit energy, right? And to make the most of the opportunities that will potentially show up in your path. Okay, this is pretty much it. Wow, I did not expect this reading to be this long again. Oh my gosh, like every single time I'm like, that's it, I'm gonna do 20 minutes, but it's, I don't know, it's hard. It's hard for me to stop. There it is. I really hope you really enjoy this reading. And last but not least, I'm going to get the Astro dice to see if we get some more confirmation. Spirit, tell me about pile number 1. What is coming towards them in the month of March 2026? Oh, wow. Look at this. We have number 2 again. Yes, confirmation. That is the moon energy. Not only that, we have Venus. Look at this. She's got it. Yeah, baby, she's got it. Venus is the planet of healing. And hello, here we have the Empress. Venus is also the natural ruler of Taurus. And we had that Taurus moon, grass moon and Taurus. I made the connection of moon, Taurus moon, sorry. Yeah, there's a lot of Taurus, okay? Taurus is all about slow and steady wins the race. On the dark side, it's the bull in the china shop / don't mess with the bull, you'll get the horns, right? I also wonder if some of you have Kritika placements, maybe that would make sense as well. Because Kritika spans the first, well, part of it, one segment falls in the last degrees of Aries in sidereal, that's what I use. And the other 3 segments, they are at the beginning of Taurus, right? So but Kritika, even in Taurus, because it's connected to warfare and anger and all this stuff, can still have that bull in a china shop, can be blunt, can be very angry, you know, quick to anger, a lot more than the other Taurus segments. But anyway, the bottom line is the healing energy is there, okay? So and Venus is also about love. I really feel like it goes hand in hand with that self-love. And I really think, again, there's also a message about healing the feminine again. So, and even if you're a man, I know this is going to sound kind of far-fetched, but healing the feminine for a man would be healing the parts of yourself that are feminine. So maybe you're a guy who has a more sensitive side, for instance, and you have always been made to feel ashamed for it. This is the chance to uncover all of those buried emotions, right? And find a constructive use for them as well. So because Venus, by the way, is also connected to arts and beauty and just celebrating everything, you know, the joy of life and all that stuff to some extent. Venus and Jupiter, they're very positive planets. Venus in particular is about hedonism a little bit, right? So like, speaking of hedonism, of course, that goes hand in hand with self-love, self-care, you know, taking better care of yourself. And again, there's that energy of the glow up that I was talking about. And speaking of self-care, we also, have Virgo. So Virgo again is, and interestingly, I have to say, Venus is debilitated in Virgo. So again, we have these repeated messages that some of you maybe have low self-esteem. Venus is connected to self-esteem. I actually, by the way, just recently posted a video on my astrology channel, Astro Martine, which I will be linking in the video description, talking about female rivalry, and I talked about Venus-Pluto aspects in the composite and how they lead to rivalry, and I went through the entire psychological process that happens basically and what leads to the rivalry, and it all boils down to self-esteem, right? Because for a woman, so much of self-esteem, because of social pressures, is connected to how attractive she feels, you know? And it's a very negative thing, right? So maybe that also resonates with some of you as women, right? Especially with the Lilith. So there are 2 aspects to Lilith. Both of them are negative. So Lilith women either tend to be overly sexualized if they happen to be attractive. Sometimes even when they're not conventionally attractive, they can be targets of sexual violence because men are threatened by their power, their independence, their self-assuredness, basically, and their lack of desire to impress men, you know, this kind of feeling of, you know, being intrinsically valuable without really seeking male approval. And then the other way is the other way that women who are Lilith dominant tend to be treated, if they're, let's say, not particularly conventionally attractive, is they tend to get bullied for their appearance, right? For the same reasons, because they come across as very powerful, because they come across as independent. Sometimes they might even have a kind of a mystical quality about them, where, because Lilith is also connected to the subconscious, to instinctive sides. So Lilith individuals can be the types that generally can weather through a lot of storms, can weather many storms and land on their feet. This is kind of a black cat energy, actually. You know, in ways that to other people come across as kind of sinister sometimes, just because they don't understand the Lilith individual. But this is because Lilith shows a strong connection to instincts, you know, instincts, the subconscious, and that makes them creative and resourceful and very independent. But anyway, let me not digress too much. The bottom line is, yes, you, whether you're Lilith dominant or not, you will definitely have an opportunity to heal, to increase your self-esteem, your self-worth in the month of March. And more specifically, because we have this multiple messages about health here, Virgo is the sign connected to health, you know, and we have Saturn, Saturn, I have to be honest, it tends to show disease. You know, it tends to show especially like long developing ailments, the things that develop over time. And like I mentioned, Saturn, because it's the Lord of Karma, it tends to show ailments that develop due to neglect. You know, when people are not responsible about their health. So it could be that during the month of March, you will be called to, you know, like there will be something that will get your attention with respect to a newly developed ailment or something that you discover. But like I said, if you want to minimize chances of anything happening health-wise, look at your life right now. Look at everything that you know you're not doing right with respect to your health, and do your best to mend it before it reaches that point where it develops into a full-on health condition. This is the way to keep Saturn happy, basically. And it's also the logical way when you think about it, not just from the Saturn perspective, from the medical field perspective, because there is a correlation between astrology and reality, of course. Yeah, this is pretty much, and also I think I mentioned it, but I'm going to mention it one more time. Definitely focus on artistic, creative hobbies or pursuits in this month, because that will help healing a lot. Okay? So this has been pretty much it. I hope you have enjoyed this. Oh, one more thing, nature. Because Virgo, Taurus, these are earth signs, right? Venus, and generally for anyone, you know, who has dealt with being hurt, having PTSD, having traumas and all this stuff, time in nature, that is a classic. That helps a lot, right? Even if you just go to a park, if you just take a walk on a regular basis, being in nature, right, is healing in and of itself. All right, so this has been pretty much it. I hope you have enjoyed this very lengthy reading. Definitely let me know what you think in the comment section. And of course, feel free to come back once as the month progresses, and of course once the month is over, get back to this and let me know how it played out, if it resonated, how it resonated. Also feel free to share any topics that you would like me to cover in the future on my channel in the comment section. I will take that into account. And of course, I will remind you to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. It's the easiest way to support me, and it is free. And consider clicking on the notifications bell if you want to be notified when I post a new tarot reading. If you would also like to get a personal tarot reading from me, I do personal tarot readings. I have like 3 main options right now. I don't feel comfortable sharing the prices publicly, although technically if you look at my community post, I think it was in around November 1st last year, I had a sale and I did mention my prices there. Although, wait, I think I updated my prices since then, but you know, not by a lot. They're kind of around the same line. But the bottom line is, yes, if you would like to find out more information about tarot readings, you can drop me an email. I mention this all the time. I don't spam people. I don't save people's emails. So you don't have to worry about that. If you're curious, you can just drop me an email and I will send you all the reading options I have. And also, if you would like to see reviews that I have gotten for private readings before, you can check out the video description as well. I've left a link to a blog post with reviews that I got from a website that I used before I started this channel. I think in 2021, I used to do readings anonymously for a platform, just to basically test my reading capacity. And so, yeah, I got a lot of really good reviews there. So if you're curious to see them, might help you decide if you want to get a reading from me. Aside from that, if you would like to support my channel further, you can do so, of course, by becoming a member. I still have to post new videos on my membership section. So far, I've only posted like 2 members-only videos for the first 2 tiers. I think, sorry, 3 videos for the first 3 tiers. So the first tier is actually going to be about health and or wellness readings. The second tier is going to be romance readings. The third tier is career and or life path readings. And of course, with each step, each tier, you have access to the previous ones. And the fourth one is going to be like 2 extra readings. One of them is going to be a yes or no video. And another one is going to be like, I still have to figure out. I'll decide on a topic. But they're going to be similar to the general readings that I post on my, tarot channel. The only difference being, of course, that they're going to be for fewer people. So maybe they will be more specific. Aside from that, of course, you can support me by leaving a tip. Anything would be appreciated. And sharing this video with as many people as possible. It would help a lot, of course, especially if you know people who are interested in tarot. And last but not least, I also have an astrology channel, like I mentioned. It's called Astro Martine, and I will be linking it in the video description. I do readings on Vedic astrology there, but, well, readings is not the correct term. I do videos, basically, teaching astrology from mainly the Vedic perspective, but I also use a lot of empirical studies and observations that I have gathered over now more than 20 years of reading horoscopes, more than 10 in Vedic astrology. I stick to Vedic, which means the sidereal zodiac and the whole sign house system, because I found this to be the most accurate. But I know a lot about tropical as well. I really don't think that any tropical astrologer knows more than I do. Yeah, I'm sorry if that sounds arrogant, but I know what I'm talking about. I actually, just out of curiosity, got a tropical reading from an astrologer 2 or 3 years ago because a friend of mine said that she had amazing predictions from him, and it was like all stuff that I could have seen for myself, basically. So it was stuff that was predictable, and it was only partially accurate, as I expected, because I know what I'm talking about, all right? Because I come from the tropical perspective, and I switched to Vedic for very good reasons, because it's way more accurate. But the bottom line is, yes, I do a lot of videos on astrology where I like to use a lot of practical examples. So I look at charts of famous people, patterns that I've noticed, and I discuss them in my videos. So if you're curious about astrology, go ahead and check it out and maybe subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much for listening. I really hope you have a great March of 2026 and you make the most of this advice. And I hope to see you in my next tarot reading. Bye. Welcome, pile number 2. This is the reading you have chosen. If you have chosen this card with number 2, Illumination, which is connected to the moon, of course. And we have the number 2, which is also moon energy, and or this amethyst cluster crystal. This is going to be the card selection phase, so I'm going to add timestamps. You can skip directly to the interpretation. Spirit, tell me about pile number 2. What will the month of March 2026 bring for them? Okay, so we have 7 of Pentacles, 3 of Wands, Ace of Wands, 10 of Wands, 4 of Pentacles, and the Judgment card. Let's see. Spirit, tell me about pile number 2. What will the month of March 2026 bring for them? Oh my gosh. Okay. So we have the Star, we have the Moon, we have Temperance, we have 7 of Cups, we have Judgment, and the Sun. Let me get some oracle cards now. So the Judgment came out twice. Let's see. Spirit, tell me about pile number 2. What will the month of March 2026 bring for them? Temptation. Ooh. Number 19. Let's see. Spirit, what will the month of March 2026 bring for pile number 2? Growth. Seek out a mentor or guide. Take baby steps as you grow. Be willing to learn from others. Let's see some more. Spirit, tell me about pile number 2. What is coming towards them in the month of March 2026? Orca whale adventure. Dare to do things differently. Sing your wild song. Manifest your travel dreams. Attempt the great journey with confidence. Be loyal. Friends and family are your treasures. Be brave. You are more powerful than you know. All right, nice. Pile number 2. Yes, I can definitely see this. Water energy with adventure. You also had the 3 of Wands and the Ace of Wands. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Strong confirmations already. And where is my... Great, I can't find my... Hold on a second. I need to pause. All right, my Shaman Wisdom cards. I love this deck. So, Spirit, tell me about pile number 2. What will the month of March 2026 bring into their lives? Number 43. I also felt this one was pretty strong, but yeah, I don't know. Like with the previous pile, I didn't get 2 cards, but apparently you need 2 cards, so I'm gonna comply with what Spirit requires. Both of them have a number 7 here, and you also have the 7 of Cups and you have the 7 of Pentacles. That's a lot of K2 energy. Number 7 is connected to introspection, research, yeah, potentially past lives as well, like spiritual development. But let's see, we have Ash, masculine, East, Sun, fire, Owl, North, feminine, air. So I'm going to read the description for these from the booklet. Let me start with the 43, because that's the one that came out first. I am Ash. I am peace of mind through protection. I am the powerful wood in the boughs of the warriors to help you overcome mental barriers and obstructions so that you may subdue enemies without and within. Good health and recovery from illness is the power of the ash. I am the stem of the sacred pipe that offers prayers and connects you to the great mystery. From the flexibility of my wood, learn to bend if the need arises. I am prosperity. Okay. Oh, and we have sun here. You also have the sun. Wow. So this is sun and moon energy, I think. Anyway, owl, north, feminine, air. Let's see the description for this one. I am owl. I am clarity of intuition and wisdom. Yeah, that's moon energy. My keen hearing and crystalline vision gives me insight where others miss the picture. I am feared for my ability to see in the dark, quote unquote. I discern truth from fiction with my watchful, silent observation of my domain. Wisely sitting on the fence post on my brother's shoulder or in the top of my favorite pine, I see and hear all. I stealthily and silently zero in on my desires and dreams. Nothing is hidden from me. I am clarity of vision and wisdom. As I silently float onto your shoulder, I am telling you to keep a watchful eye open at all times. There are those who wish you didn't see beneath the surface of their realities. Protect yourself or others will take advantage of you. Wow. You are naturally discerning and intuitive. Continue to listen and observe so you won't miss the subtle messages contained in my message. Remember, even in the darkness, you see what others cannot. Once the view is unobstructed, aim for the heart, the center. Silently go after your desires and dreams. Along your way, you will encounter people who are apprehensive around you because of your psychic abilities and intuition. Stick to your truth. Wow, pile number 2. This is wild, all right? So I'm convinced that I correctly assessed that this is the moon energy and this is the sun energy. So like you have to blend both of them in the month of March. You're going to need to do that. And you also have the sun coming in here as well as an outcome for the month of March. And you also have judgment coming out twice. You have the judgment here, the judgment here. There are some common cards with pile number 1. If you feel drawn to it, maybe check out pile number 1 as well. But if not, you're going to get all the messages that you need from this reading. All right, so maybe some of you actually have prominent sun and or moon placements. Maybe you have prominent placements in Cancer, Leo, 5th house, 4th house. Maybe the moon or sun are prominently placed in your houses, in your horoscope. You could have placements in the nakshatras that are ruled by the sun and the moon. So Rohini, Hasta. Oh gosh, what's the other one? I can't believe I forgot. I'm getting Alzheimer's or something. Shravana, right? I just remembered. Or the sun, Kritika, Uttara Falguni, Uttara Ashadha. You can have placements in these nakshatras. So the bottom line is it doesn't matter because this is about what's going to happen in the month of March for you. So it could be that you also have these energies in your horoscope, but it's not necessarily the case. There is such a great symmetry between not just the tarot cards and the oracle cards, but for instance, between this card and what this card said, illumination, and this was about basically flying through the dark and trusting your intuition. So again, I feel like many of you here in pile number 2, you might have a very strong Ketu energy in your horoscope as well, which is the south node of the moon. And in Vedic astrology, it's very much connected to spirituality. It's connected to people who have almost like sometimes psychic abilities, you know, very, very sharp intuitions like that go beyond just, let's say, emotional intelligence and things like that, like beyond psychologically being able to analyze someone. They can actually have flashes of insights that are coming, you know, from either, you know, a spiritual source, an outside source, or it could be from their own subconscious or a combination of both. We don't really know how intuition functions 100%, but people who are highly intuitive, you know, who have these like flashes, these things that they see people very strongly, very well, very accurately, maybe even better than people know themselves. And there's also a high sensitivity that comes with having a prominent Ketu energy. Oh, and by the way, you could also have placements in Ketu dominated nakshatra. So Ashwini, Magha, or Mula nakshatras could also be a thing. But let me unpack everything that I see in this reading. So we have 7 of Pentacles and the Star, which is a number 17. But we also have the number 7 as part of this 17. So 17 boils down to an 8 in numerology. And we have a lot of, like I said, a lot of number 7s, sorry, which makes me think that you're very focused on your own thing, but you might also feel isolated because of all these number 7s. The 7 of Pentacles and the Star shows that at this moment, or, you know, around the time that you start listening to this reading, you are working very hard towards something, you know, you have been working towards something. It's usually with the 7 of Pentacles, it's definitely something like career or learning a new skill. It's something material, basically. Maybe learning to invest, working on a business, working on your job. taking a course, right? But it's like there's an energy of work in progress. And the star shows that you are very much motivated by getting a lot of recognition, getting social status. And at the same time, it could be like both things happening actually at the same time. So you're both motivated, but you're also kind of supported. So for those of you who maybe already have a certain measure of social status, success, maybe social media following, this could definitely show that you're going to get more attention, more recognition, or maybe in recent history, like I said, around the time that you come across this reading, you will feel like there's an increase in the amount of respect that you get for your profession, for your work. Could be your actual profession, or could be a hobby or something you have worked at. Most likely, I think with that star, for many of you, this could be a passion project, not so much a conventional job, unless that conventional job is your passion. We have the number 3 clarified by Moon, and hello, you have here, dare to do things differently, sing your wild song, manifest your travel dreams, attempt the great journey with confidence, be loyal, be brave. So for some of you, I mean, hello, the month of March happens to be the number 3 month, right? The 3rd month of the year. But you also happen to have 3 of Wands. So number 3 connects to Jupiter in numerology, which is connected in turn to travel, just like the moon, actually. Okay, so in a way, both Jupiter and the moon are symbols of travel. They're connected to travel. Now, for some of you, this travel could simply refer to, you know, traveling within, for instance, you know, like going a great distance with respect to self-discovery in the month of March, you know, learning a lot more as well, whether it's about yourself, whether it's about a profession, whether it's about something that might even shake up your entire worldview in terms of coming across a different way of seeing things, the broad, you know, with respect to your general broad view of the world and how everything works. Could be like your beliefs will change in the month of March, or will be challenged as well to some extent. But like I said, for some of you at the same time, or it could be both of these at the same time, there could actually be an opportunity for travel. So if you have an opportunity for travel, it's definitely encouraged. So the 3 of Wands in general, in the most general basic sense, irrespective of whether it's, you know, a spiritual travel, a physical travel, this is about leaving your comfort zone. All right. And especially with the moon underneath, I feel like Spirit is telling you that it's important for you to travel for clarity of mind, you know? Gosh, you know what I got in my mind right now? Those lyrics from Frozen, from Let It Snow. Sorry, not Let It Snow, Let It Go. Let It Snow is like Frank Sinatra. But there are those lyrics where she says, funny how some distance can make everything seem small. So I think that for many of you, you could definitely benefit from a fresh environment, you know, getting away from your, whatever your regular environment is, even if it's for just one day. It could give you a lot of clarity of mind, you know, and give you a refresh in terms of your vitality, your energy, but especially with respect to something to do with your mind, your mindset, maybe your emotional health as well. Like it would give you a boost in your mood, basically, to get out into a new environment. Yeah, this is pretty much how I would read it. And but yeah, I also, again, in another general sense, it can also be about keeping an open mind, you know, being curious, keep learning, kind of like that, you know, explore new things, basically. And then we have the Ace of Wands and the Temperance, which to me is pretty fascinating since it comes in opposition. I want to clarify the Ace of Wands over here. Please clarify this Ace of Wands energy, Spirit. Oh my God, are you kidding me? The Judgment again? Good Lord. And we have the Judgment 3 times. All right, Judgment. Judgment, Judgment, Judgment. Okay. I want to clarify. Please clarify the Judgment. I need to know. Page of Wands. Okay, more Wands energy. Spirit is moving in circles over here. Please clarify the Temperance. This one. Page of Cups. More pages. Okay. I think I have an idea about what this is saying. First of all, let me start with the Temperance, actually. Temperance is normally a card that speaks of needing to blend two seemingly contradictory things, you know? Needing or the tendency to blend two, like for instance, how should I put it? Like, think about the examples of how engineering is used to create prosthetics, right? Which nowadays, well, it's become more acceptable, but when you think about it on the surface, and definitely if you would have thought about it, let's say from the perspective of traditional medicine 50, 100 years ago, it would have seen a very crazy idea, right? This idea that you could create, you know, electronic hands, for instance, for people who have lost their hands, or maybe even organs, right? And stuff like that. So that's like a blending of two seemingly contradictory things, or things that on the surface had nothing to do with one another, but they were able to blend them, like scientists were able to blend them harmoniously. And in your case, we have the Page of Cups clarifying this, and then we have the Page of Wands clarifying Ace of Wands, indirectly through Judgment, okay? So the way that I see it here is, first of all, both Page of Wands and Page of Cups are youthful energies. Temperance is connected to the number 5, which is ruled by Mercury. So to me, this is a kind of scattered, all over the place, jack of all trades sort of vibe, okay? You know what they say, jack of all trades, master of none. Now, in some situations, of course, being a jack of all trades definitely has its advantages, you know, knowing a little bit of everything, knowing how to get by in different situations. But what I see here is that Spirit is telling you to not be overly scattered when it comes to your interests, especially with that Ace of Wands energy, all right? It shows like you want too much too soon. So that's something you need to watch out for in the month of March. To some extent, this could be happening because maybe you're someone who for a long time, because I see here, look at this. This is the past. We have the 10 of Wands and the 7 of Cups. Now, this could be the recent past, or it could be like your entire past up until this point when you come across this reading. So I feel like for many of you with that 10 of Wands, you know, you have had a really rough time in the past. Like you have felt isolated and alone for a long time. And like you've had to carry a lot of heavy burdens by yourself. Okay? And it could be that you were looking for opportunities for a long time with that 7 of Cups. You know, it's like, I kind of get the vision of Moses wandering through the desert here, you know, like looking for water desperately. There's like a lot of thirst involved in here. Maybe not, I don't think he was looking for water, but whatever. But like that kind of vibe of someone who was wandering through the desert, you know, starving, thirsty, tired, spent, and just waiting for a miracle. And now in recent history, around the time when you come across this reading, you're suddenly faced with a lot of opportunities, or things that on the surface look like a lot of opportunities. So now you're kind of overwhelmed. You know, you're like, you have that thing that is documented in psychology of having I don't know what it's called exactly, but being overwhelmed with so many choices, so many temptations, you know? And maybe it's not just that, but maybe like multiple parts of yourself that wanted different things now have opportunities to be fulfilled at the same time. So maybe, for instance, there's a part of you that always wanted to be able to express yourself artistically, to have free time so that you could write and paint and have artistic hobbies, right? But at the same time, there was a part of you that always wanted a career in the traditional sense, you know, that wanted to get respect from others and work hard and, you know, be really valued for your contributions in a very pragmatic sense and become like a reliable person. So these things are kind of contradictory, you know. It's like, especially if, I don't know, let me give you an example of, like, let's say you are a medical student, right? Or you just graduated medical school in recent history, and now all of a sudden you have an opportunity. Maybe you just started an internship or something, and you're getting respect and you're getting that, but maybe at the same time you're suddenly getting more interest on your photographs, with respect to your photographs that you posted on a website for years, but nobody noticed, and like all of a sudden now maybe someone wants you to, someone has commissioned you, right, to be a photographer on the weekends, and now you're like, torn in between those two things. Like, what should I do? Should I put all my energy into becoming the best doctor I can be, or should I also, rekindle this old flame that I had towards photography? So, and if this is the case, if this resonates at all, obviously it's not an easy position to be in. And Spirit is telling you, be careful about spreading yourself too thin. You have to kind of be clear about what is most important. All right. This is why you have the Judgment there, right? In the sense that it's like the Judgment has a double sense, where on the one hand, there could be an element of fatedness, almost like you are meant to go through this right now because maybe it's a challenge you have to deal with. But on the other hand, it's also about using your judgment. And in this case, in opposition, it could be about how actually your passions are overriding your judgment, because you have the Page of Wands, the Judgment, and the Ace of Wands. Okay, so that's a lot of passion, a lot of fire, a lot of youthful enthusiasm. It's a lot of heart chakra, because this is sun energy, and you also have the sun over here, right? So it's kind of like a kid in a candy shop, wanting to finally being given the chance to have all these things that were always denied, basically, to them. And they're overwhelmed with the options and the sensory stimulation before them. So the bottom line is, again, you need to be calm and rational, and you need to think about what is the most important thing to you. And ultimately, you need to decide, again, through reasoning. I'm not saying it's one thing or the other, right? But you need to sit yourself down, basically, take some moments, maybe start journaling, do a little bit of introspection, and think about what is really the most important thing for you, and decide, basically, to focus your energy on the thing that is the most important thing. And the other one, you can postpone it for later. Or accept the fact that if both of them are important, or multiple things are important at the same time, that you won't be able to achieve both of them to the same degree of quality, right? So maybe if you start to become a photographer on the side, you will still become a doctor, but you won't get the same level of results and the same respect and, whatever, all of that you would get if you were fully committed to it and did overtime and were 100% there for your coworkers and your employers and the patients, etc. So yeah, that's something to think about. Then we have, like I said, so the 10 of Wands and 7 of Cups, I've already gone over that. I feel like you have been struggling, right? So you've been tired, you have been working hard with meager results. This is pretty much what 10 of Wands shows. The best case scenario actually is, and this I feel like is true for at least some of you with the 7 of Pentacles and Star in the current, is that in just recent history, you've started to see finally the rewards of that hard work. That 10 of Wands of, like, again, wandering alone through the desert for God knows how many years, and you're finally starting to see that you're reaping some rewards. But you're still tired, you're still kind of like, you still carry the memory of the struggle with you and the kind of weariness about it. And it's definitely still a work in progress with the 7 of Pentacles. You have not arrived yet, okay, is what I can tell you. We have the 4 of Pentacles and the Judgment again. So this is in action, all right? So this is kind of like what Spirit is telling you to do in the month of March. And I'm going to get another I need to clarify this. Please clarify the Judgment. In fact, you know what? I'm going to use this one. Please clarify the Judgment, Spirit. 6 of Swords. Okay. Please clarify the 4 of Pentacles. Oh, the Lovers. Yeah, I don't think the Lovers refers to romance in this context. I think this revolves around... We have number 6, number 6. Following your heart, basically. Just like that owl card said. Now I'm getting that song from Roxette. Listen to your heart. Na, 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 na. I don't remember. Something about where you're going. I don't remember the lyrics. I'm old. Who cares? But you can look for it. Maybe there are some insights for you in that song. But yeah, it's like, this is about you following, again, you being clear, because hello, we have illumination, you know, so illumination is about being clear, right? Seeing things clearly. And again, we have this moth heading for the moon in illumination. A similar message to what this owl card was saying, you know, about flying around in the night. And about following your heart, you know. And yeah, with the 4 of Pentacles and the 6 of, the Lovers underneath, this is a message of protecting. And again, this one goes hand in hand with what the other one said, I think. Actually, also the owl and the other one. This is about protecting your heart. This is about, to some extent, keeping your cards close to your vest. Don't overshare. Don't tell everyone what your goals are, what your passions are. Because again, not everyone will be on your side. Some people might even find you a little bit threatening based on what I'm seeing here. I wonder if, like I said, I mean, that would make sense with K2, maybe some other placement. So I'm going to see more in the astrological cards about that. But there could be people who, you know, are not going to be on your side. So try to keep, like I said, your cards close to your vest. Try to keep things to yourself unless it's absolutely necessary to share the information. And then we have Judgment and the 6 of Swords. So this is showing me that with respect to your attitude, with respect to the way you think, it's definitely showing that you are moving away, and most importantly, that your judgment, rely on your judgment, your decisions, your basically trusting your own thinking. That is going to lead you away from troubled waters. And again, there might be a message about travel here, like literally. Maybe it's a message for some of you, especially again, if you have considered this or if the opportunity arises within the month of March. Spirit is telling you, take that trip. You know, take that trip you have been thinking about, that, or that will be presented. Maybe it will be like a last minute thing that you have the opportunity to do. Because again, I feel like there's a message that it will give you some clarity, some insights that you wouldn't get otherwise. And 4 of Pentacles is not just about protection. It's also about being frugal. Don't be wasteful. You know? Don't throw money out the window. Don't overspend, you know, even if right now you have enough. You don't know how things are going to progress. Again, I don't want to create anxieties, but the 4 of Pentacles normally does give that message of self-preservation, even when it comes to resources, you know, as in be careful, manage your money, don't take any risks when it comes to your money, you know, don't gamble or anything like that. Don't invest money into anything that sounds suspicious, obviously. But generally, just take care of your resources in general. So it could also be things like your time, anything, you know, be more frugal in general. Like, try to be a minimalist in some ways, but not to the extent of becoming a minimalist, sorry. Maybe for some of you actually are minimalists, but it doesn't have to be the case. It just shows, don't be wasteful with your energies and your resources, you know, and keep your eyes on the prize. This is the main thing. And we have Judgment and the Sun. So this is the outcome of the month of March. It could happen during this month, by the end of the month, or it could be happening at some point in the future as a result of what you're going through in the month of March, which is a lot of, well, in one word, clarity. You know, you're going to get this illumination thing because the sun, well, both the sun and judgment have to do with reason, developing a reasoning, rational approach, being very clear with respect to your purpose, to where you stand. Karma, again, judgment, actually, this is the judgment card. Like I said, could be connected to destiny. So, and it came out 3 times in your reading. So, I really feel, especially with the Ketu energy, that many of you, you're going through something pretty karmic. That doesn't mean abandoning yourself and like not doing anything, you know, because, oh, it's out of your hands or something. No, but you're meant to go through some stuff in March because it's part of a higher plan, basically. And temptation here, hello, with the ghost. Oh my God, ghosts again, and spirits and everything, that's Ketu. Okay, dead bodies, everything, ancestors, that's Ketu. And look at this, we have growth. Seek out a mentor or guide. Take baby steps as you grow. Be willing to learn from others. So for some of you, you might literally have the opportunity to come across a mentor in the month of March. But irrespective, there is the potential for growth, you know, and the sun and judgment, that's what I was going to say. The sun in astrology connects to Atmakarka. So it's actually called the original Atmakarka, basically showing the soul's purpose, okay? And to some extent, for everyone, the sun placements in the horoscope, whether it's by sign, by nakshatra, by house, by aspect, they show a person's reason for living, their reason for incarnation, their base personality, their soul's purpose. You know, it's what you're constantly heading towards, like in that myth with Daedalus and Icarus, you know. And well, it didn't end well in that situation because Icarus, I think that was his name, he fell to his death because he got too close to the sun. But the bottom line is, for most of us, we have to get, like, our whole lives, we try to get close to the sun. This is what the sun is in a horoscope. So it's your destiny to a large extent. It's part of it, at least. There are other things in astrology that you have to look at to get a full picture. But it's part of your destiny. It's part of what makes you feel like life is worth living, basically. It's what makes you want to get up in the morning. And so ultimately, as a result of the month of March, you will see a much greater clarity with respect to what your destiny is, what you really want to do in life, you know, and there will be a much greater sense of purpose as a result of this. And at the same time, I think probably because of that, there will be an increase of your vitality and overall motivation. That's really, sun is also vitality, basically. Okay, this is pretty much what I see. Let me get the Astro-Cards. Okay, so Spirit, tell me about pile number 2. What is coming towards them in the month of March? What do they need to hear? Okay, so we have Chiron. Hold on. So we have Chiron, Gemini, there's that page energy that I was talking about, Capricorn, so that's the career energy, Pluto and Venus. Okay, so Pluto in tropical is the natural ruler of Scorpio. In sidereal, it happens to be ruled by Ketu and Mars. So in a way, in a roundabout way, I also see this as a confirmation of that Ketu energy a little bit, because it still connects to that scorpionic energy. And Chiron, like the word suggests, this is about inner healing, okay? So this could be about going through some kind of growing pains, some transformation that is necessary. There will be this natural curiosity, but at the same time, a tendency to spread yourself thin, so watch out for that. You know, don't be too scattered. But the curiosity is good, you know, like the fact that you are open-minded, curious, you want to learn new things, and you're definitely going to have the opportunity to see and learn new things in the month of March. And then we have Capricorn, which again is about focusing on career, having staying power, having clarity of purpose, sorry. Because Capricorn corresponds to the 10th house, which is the house connected to social karma, you know? It's about responsibilities, things you need to bring to the world, right? Responsibilities towards the world at large. And it's also about social status. Yeah. So social status, recognition, how other people, like your position in a hierarchy, right? How other people value you, especially from the perspective of career and your work. So I feel like it ties to this star energy to some extent as well, because the star does have the number 8, which is ruled by Saturn and Pluto, actually. So that is a confirmation, doubly so. But yeah, so there is this right around the time when you come across this reading. Like I said, you are in the process of moving towards a greater position, a greater amount of development in your career, more success, more visibility, more respect. Yeah, so I feel like a lot of positive things are going to happen. And Pluto is about, like I said, transformation, but it's also kind of about growth, right? Because growth doesn't happen without transformation. And of course, transformation can be painful. So it is about having, also it kind of ties into that feeling of you have to keep your cards close to your vest, you know, because Scorpio is very secretive. It's about hidden information. So it's about the value of being strategic a little bit, you know, not being deceptive necessarily, but like I said, you know, keeping your cards close to your vest in the sense of not sharing everything, your intentions, your goals, every next step with everyone else, because you never know how other people might react to that. And based on this reading, it does sound like you might have people around you, or you might come across some people in the month of March that, you know, distrust you, that maybe are not going to be on your side, etc. Again, I don't want to make you paranoid, but it is what the card said, right? So until you know someone well enough, basically, don't overshare information. Venus, love and beauty, all right? So this does show, again, you did have that Lover's card. So Venus is that heart chakra. Like I said, so the number 6 is ruled by Venus, and it showed up at least twice, actually, in your spread here. So this is about, yes, could be about self-love. It could also be that, you know, in this month you will develop some infatuation or romantic interest might present itself. I don't think that this is going to be the main theme of the month, though, considering these cards. I would say that this Venus has more to do with your self-esteem, your self-worth, working on self-love, healing your feminine side to some extent. It maybe also taking moments to relax, to enjoy life, because Venus is about hedonism, right? Sugar, spice, everything nice, everything that's, you know, about pleasure, about hobbies, about things you do for fun and love to do. Those are Venus, all right? Especially, well, I was going to say especially for women, but not necessarily, also for men. This could also be about you being encouraged to take care of your beauty, your appearance, you know? And it could also be that you might become more attractive in the month of March, you know, maybe due to astrological transits, or it could actually be because of a glow up of some sorts, you know? I don't know, you're going to get a cute haircut or something, or you're going to drop some weight, and that could be happening. You know, you might attract more attention. You might suddenly become more attractive. But Venus definitely shows that you will have opportunities for love in your life, definitely, okay? And could also be an infatuation, like I said, could be an infatuation happening. I'm not getting any clues with respect to whether this is actually going to lead to something serious, but again, this is a general reading. But speaking of infatuations, because you have this temptation with a ghost, I do think that there might be a message here about not getting sidetracked, which goes hand in hand with that temperance as well. This energy that I was talking about, jack of all trades. For some of you, this could not necessarily be about having multiple interests at the same time. It could be about being torn between emotions and purpose, like your career goals, for instance, right? So maybe some of you might start dating, or you may have started dating recently. But sometimes you might feel like this new interest romantic interest is becoming a distraction from your career or something, or your for your professional goals. So again, in this situation, be sure not to get sidetracked, okay? I also think that Pluto and Venus showing up together shows that there will be opportunities for increasing your finances in the month of March. So watch out for that, basically. I mean, you normally, like for instance, if I were to see Pluto Venus in a natal horoscope, this could be a rags to riches sort of placement. But of course, a lot depends on other things in a horoscope if I'm looking at it astrologically. Okay, now let me take the Astro dice. Let's see if I get some extra messages here. Spirit, tell me about pile number 2. What is coming towards them in March 2026? Oh, wow. We have Pluto again. And we have the number 2 again, just like the initial card. So this again could either relate to Taurus, second house, which is Venus energy. That would make sense as well with the 4 of Pentacles, you know, like the topic of savings and self-esteem at the same time would be prominent in the month of March. And we have Virgo as well. All right. So Virgo as well is kind of connected to self-preservation. And Pluto, well, I already went over that. So it is the energy of transformation. It is about you needing to, you know, keep things a little bit on the down low, not overshare and things like that, you know, and keep your eyes on the prize, you know. And at the same time, the Virgo energy, this is about, well, working on your craft, because Virgo is the energy connected to employment. It could also be about watching your everyday routines, maybe rethinking your everyday routines, taking care of your health, definitely. And Virgo is also about needing to be analytical. So that would make sense with all the judgment coming through, because as I said, the Judgment card can be seen as either divine intervention, as in, you know, judgment coming from a higher power, or it could be also at the same time, could be about reasoning abilities, being rational, you know. And the number 2 with that Venus, again, with the moon energy, this could be, so if you look at it from the moon perspective, this is about maybe trusting your intuition more. It's also about introspection, you know, because the second house, I've said this on my astrology channel, connects to family of origin. So the way that I see it is it connects to psychology, and you see that a lot of prominent psychotherapists had a prominent second house, which makes sense because a lot of psychotherapy is about understanding how your early life environment and your early relationships shape your personality, basically. But I also think that with this whale adventure that tells you that you're attempt the great journey with confidence, be loyal, friends and family are your treasures, be brave, you are more powerful than you know. So I definitely feel that insecurity is a theme for those of you in pile number 2. This is why the Spirit is telling you that, hey, it's going to get better, because the sun is in the end. So that's increase of self-confidence, like I said, and determination of purpose. But with all the number 2, there could be a lot of back and forth. There could be a lot of self-doubt. There could be a lot of mistrusting your own judgment. That's why Spirit is telling you to focus on developing a trust in your judgment. And a lot of the times, in order to do that, really, you have to get used to the idea that you might make mistakes, right? Because the only way that you can trust your judgment is if you act on it and see where it takes you to a large extent. But yeah, this is pretty much, and like I said, so with the second house, this could be about, yeah, you spending time with family and friends, and it could also be about developing a sense of self-worth at the same time, right? Maybe rethinking the way that your early environment shaped your self-worth and working on that. So again, for some of you, this could also be a good time to actually go to therapy with all this Pluto energy, which is transformation. It would make a lot of sense. There's definitely there are definitely repeated themes of you moving away from something in some significant way. So there's this, not just because the Pluto came out twice, but you also have that 6 of Swords. You also have that Temperance. You also have that dichotomy between 10 of Wands and the Star and the 7 of Pentacles. Yeah. So I feel like things are slowly but surely happening for you, you know? But you still need to be patient and basically trust the process. I know some people don't want to hear that, but there it is. But yeah, this is pretty much what I have. Pile number 2. One more thing that I can say with number 2 and Venus. So Venus is definitely about potentially, you know, becoming more attractive and whatnot, but it could be specifically about the face and the throat. So like if and also with transformation, I don't know, some of you could maybe start a new skincare routine that's gonna be very good for you. Maybe you will have to go to the dentist as well. Anything that has to do with the face and the throat, you really, the head and the throat, that's Venus, right? Maybe something to do with your vocal cords or etc., right? These things could come to the forefront in the month of March. Okay, so this is what I have for you, pile number 2. I hope you have enjoyed this. Definitely very strong messages as usual. Feel free to comment in the comment section with any feedback you would like to share, as long as you keep it respectful, of course. Also, share any ideas for topics that you would like me to cover in future videos. I do take them into account. And, of course, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. It's the easiest way to support me, and it's free. Also, consider clicking on the notifications bell if you want to see when I upload a new tarot video. If you would like to get a personal reading from me, check out the video description. I have left my email address there. You can email me for a pricing list, reading options. I mention this all the time. I don't spam people or anything, so feel free to send me an email. I'm not going to send commercials or anything. Yeah, so if you're curious, I'll just give you the information you asked for. And I've also left a link in the video description to reviews I've gotten for private readings before. Reviews that I have done on a platform anonymously, actually, some years ago. Basically, when I was training to test myself to be a tarot reader. And I've gotten some pretty good reviews. If you want to see them, check out the blog post link that I posted in the video description. If you want to see what the reviews are, it might help you decide if you want to get a reading from me. Aside from that, if you would like to support my channel further, you can do so by becoming a member, leaving a tip, sharing this video with as many people as possible. And last but not least, I do have an astrology channel. As I've mentioned, my astrology channel name is Astro Martine. I will be linking it in the video description as well. I focus mainly on Vedic astrology on my channel, but also with some tropical insights. I have more than 20 years of experience in reading horoscopes. I started out with tropical and moved on to Vedic because it's more accurate. So I use the sidereal zodiac and the whole sign house system now. But I still use a lot of the knowledge, the empirical observations that I gathered through my years of using tropical. So sometimes I will bridge the two. And yeah, based on what I've seen, works basically. And I like to use a lot of practical examples in my videos, horoscopes of famous people and whatnot, to present as examples. Yeah. So if you're curious about astrology, Vedic astrology even more so, check out my astrology video. Maybe subscribe to it. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a great March of 2026, and I hope to see you at my next tarot reading. Bye! Welcome, pile number 3. This is your reading if you have chosen this card over here. Number 10, open your heart. This woman and the swan. And or this kunzite crystal. So this is going to be the card selection phase. I am going to add timestamps so you can skip directly to the interpretation if you don't want to sit through it, because I will be taking my time. Spirit, tell me about pile number 3. The people who chose the kunzite crystal. What will the month of March 2026 bring into their lives? Oh, are they upside down? Yes. Tell me, Spirit. What will the month of March 2026 bring into pile number 3's life? Ooh, Queen of Pentacles. Let's see. Spirit, what will the month of March 2026 bring into pile number 3's life? Tell me. All right. So we have 7 of Wands, 10 of Wands, Temperance, the Star, 5 of Swords, the Death card, 7 of Swords, the Moon, 3 of Pentacles, 5 of Cups, Queen of Pentacles, and Ace of Wands. All right, let me get some Oracle cards. Spirit, tell me about pile number 3. What is coming towards them in the month of March 2026? Ooh. Healer, you have powerful healing gifts. Have faith in your abilities. Stay true to your path as a healer. Nice. Nice symmetry here between these two pictures. Let's see. Spirit, tell me about pile number 3. What is coming towards them? Self-love. All right. So we have repeated themes here. Self-love, 24, and healer. And let's see some more. Spirit, tell me about pile number 3. What is coming towards them? I mean, what is happening in their lives in March 2026? Tell me. Hawk Messenger, Spirit is sending you messages. Open your greater vision to see the signs. Focus on priorities and eliminate distractions. You have a bright future. Let yourself ascend to new heights. All right. Makes me think of, whenever I see this card actually with this sun here, which is very Mayan sort of in style, I think. Makes me think of the eagle or the vulture signs in the Mayan zodiac. So I wonder if some of you actually have that sign. Then you also have this card with Open Your Heart, number 10. Number 10 is boiling down to a number 1, which is ruled by the sun. And here we have Self-Love, 24, which is Venus. And now I'm going to get another card from the Shaman Wisdom cards. Here, tell me about pile number 3. What is coming towards them in March 2026? Amber, okay, 51. That's again number 6. That's Venus energy. Masculine, 3rd chakra, water. I'm going to read the description for this from the booklet. Let me see. I am amber. I am the primitive fossil resin of our ancient tree brothers. I am down to earth, yet I lift the spirits. Now is the time to redirect yourself and concentrate on your personal powers, intellectual abilities, patience, and calmness. Ancient wisdom and knowledge are attained through careful study and using my properties to attract receptive thought patterns. Look at your masculine side for protection, strength, confidence, growth, and development that leads to balance. I am the healing light of love. Wow. Repeated theme. I mean, doesn't surprise me, and I wonder how well the creators of these oracle cards, of any oracle cards actually, because I see this as a repeated theme, are familiarized with numerology, but I'm guessing many of them are, since they're into tarot. They're probably intuitive. Because oftentimes we have the message of healing connected to numbers boiling down to a 6, like this one, 24, self-love, and this one is about the healing power of love, 51, which also boils down to a number 6, right? So this is Venus energy, and Venus is connected to love and healing at the same time. Not just the healing that comes through love, but healing of any type is connected to Venus. So even in the medical fields, for instance, people who are strong with Venus, strong in Venus energy, they have a healing touch, you know, and they might make better doctors, for instance, or better nurses. Okay, so let's unpack everything that I see here. Pile number 3. Okay, we have 3 of Pentacles, the Temperance, the Star, 10. Okay, so this is your current situation. So your general energy around the time when you come across this reading. We have 7 of Wands, 10 of Wands, all right? So this shows me that at this time, well, you are feeling pretty defensive is the word. 7 is connected to K2, and it's a pretty lonely kind of energy. It's connected to solitude in general, even in numerology. So maybe some of you are going through a 7 personal number, 7 personal year this year, 2026, or maybe the month number boils down to a number 7 for you. Or it could be, again, a prominent number in your numerology profile. Maybe you're born on the 7th, the which one is it? The 25th, the 16th. I think those are the only ones. But it doesn't matter, even if you don't have the number 7. This shows that you're feeling pretty isolated and you feel like you have to fend for yourself. And I can see a kind of weariness and tiredness, all right? You are still holding on to the hope that you're going to make it through sheer grit. Through sheer determination, that your hard work is going to pay off. This is what that 10 of Wands underneath is telling me. And the 7 of Wands can definitely show that emotionally, you, especially, the 7th clarified by the 10th, this is really very isolating. Like, it really makes me feel like this is the kind of energy that you would expect from a soldier on the battlefield that had its entire, division wiped out, and he's alone basically against the enemies. This is the kind of vibe. So it's like, it's not just about being alone, it's like alone and challenged, like having to deal with challenges, having to deal with enemies. So I feel like basically there is a vibe of feeling tired with you. Pile number 1. Now, this is your current vibe. All right, it doesn't sound very positive, but on a positive note, it does show resilience. Okay, and also the 10 of Wands is about feeling like you have to shoulder a lot of responsibilities for yourself, like by yourself, sorry. Maybe even to the point where you have to carry other people's responsibilities just because other people are not reliable, they're not serious, etc., right? The second card here is the Temperance clarified by the Star. So this is what's going to support you in the month of March. So the Temperance speaks of the capacity to blend things that are normally very different, even opposite in nature. One example that I used was, for instance, think of people who use knowledge of both engineering and medicine to create things like intelligent prosthetics or something, like bionic. I don't know if bionic is the right word for them, if that's what they're called. But, I don't know if you've seen these, like, for instance, prosthetics that are created nowadays, for instance, for people who have lost an arm or a leg, and they can actually move it. Like, for instance, you've seen mechanical arms that can be moved through actual thought processes, like through mental impulses. People can move their fist and stuff, but it's all mechanical, So that's an example of Temperance sort of energy, this tendency to blend two different things together. At the same time, Temperance is also, well, kind of like the name suggests, it's about being even-tempered. It's about being balanced, having to balance yourself. This is also kind of why the Temperance card is always a little bit similar to the Justice, in its imagery. We have this woman basically who is like pouring from one cup to another, and it magically flows because it makes no sense compared to, taking into account the laws of gravity. It doesn't make sense that the water would flow the way that she's holding those cups. But the bottom line is, yeah, this is what it is. So Temperance a lot of the times is a message of keeping cool, keeping a cool head, calming down will somehow bring you more resources, bring you more solutions than fretting, agitating, being all over the place, you know, like a headless chicken. So I feel like this is Spirit telling you that in this month of March, you need to keep a cool head. And the star here shows, this could be seen in two different ways, actually. You might actually be supported by people who actually admire you, who want to help you, whether these are friends or acquaintances. Maybe at work, these could be people who see your potential and they want to support you. So that could help you. But then the star is also about your capacity to connect to people from maybe different walks of life, different audiences. So again, this would make a lot of sense for someone who, let's say, is a content creator. Your capacity to relate to an audience, to connect to an audience could actually bring you a lot of support, you know, during this month, or bring you ideas somehow. So the bottom line is that you might be getting, you know, your capacity. I mean, not necessarily that you might be getting, but your capacity to put yourself out there, to connect with people emotionally, especially with large groups of people. So I really feel like for many of you, maybe you are content creators, or maybe you could be like a team leader, for instance, or you could be someone in a position where you have to deal with a lot of people on a regular basis. So the star is basically 11th house / Aquarius energy. In a way, considering this connection to Aquarius, the second position here tells me, in other words, that your creative thinking, your originality, your individuality, your ability to stand out is actually encouraged during the month of March. Like, it's going to support you in getting what you need and what you want in the month of March, all right? Then we have the Five of Swords and the Death underneath. And the interesting part, of course, is that this is the opposition. I have to say already we have number five. Let's see, do we have any other? Yeah, we have 5 again. So 5 is Mercury energy. Okay. And you also have this messenger. Look at this. Now, it's true, the message of the card is about Spirit is sending you messages, open your greater vision to see the signs, focus on priorities, and eliminate distractions. You have a bright future. Let yourself ascend to new heights. So, Mercury energy is very distractible. That makes a lot of sense, okay? So, my guess is that you are someone who is very bright. Pile number 3. You're very clever. And you are probably someone who has been through some stuff in the past and has always landed on your feet because of your creativity, because of your wits, and also because of your capacity to communicate. Okay. With the 5 of Swords and the Death in opposition, in clarification. Hold on. I want to clarify something. Please clarify the 5 of Swords here. 10 of Wands again. Oh, wow. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Spirit. Please clarify the Death. The Hanged Man. Oh. Well, it is kind of a repeated message, but it goes more in depth because this is the opposition. Okay. So, Death is about transformation. Okay. And the 10 of Wands, I already went over it. So the 10 of Wands is actually about feeling like you are hard at work, right? So 10 of Wands is not entirely bad because technically it does show the capacity to, again, to make it through sheer hard work and grit. Let's not also forget that number 10, hello, we also have number 10 here on the original card. See, number 10, open your heart. But and number 10, as I was saying, boils down to a number 1 in numerology, which is ruled by the sun. So we also have the number 1 here with ace, which is a 1, basically, of wands, which is fire. So that's sun energy. And we have the Ten of Wands clarifying the Five of Swords. So clearly, the first thing that is standing in your way that I can say right off the bat is your fear of failure. Pile number 3. Your fear of failure together with, more specifically, not just your fear of failure, but your fear that you are going to put in a lot of effort into something that will not bear fruit. And maybe this is something you have gone through before in the past. Maybe you have put a lot of effort into things that just did not pay off the way that you expected them to. That could be a possibility. Or whichever the case may be, the Five of Swords in particular speaks of, especially since it's mental energy, it's about fears. It's about this feeling of defeat, you know? Again, could be most likely because of past experiences, right? But the death underneath is showing that, oh my God, you're afraid to change. So this could show on a deeper level that this is a fear of change in general. But considering the fact that the Five of Swords could hint to a fear of failure, this is maybe going to sound harsh, pile number 3, but it really makes me feel like maybe some of you, gosh, I'm trying to figure out a way to say it that doesn't sound nasty. I guess some of you have been used to not being successful in a way. Maybe you are seen as kind of an underachiever, like perpetually, to the point where I have to say, I wonder, this could be like a giant leap and a giant assumption, but I wonder if some of you in this group are neurodivergent, like if you are autistic or ADHD, Asperger's, you know, I wonder. The reason I say this is because that's for some reason one of the main reasons why I thought of chronic underachievers. You know how people with ADHD oftentimes throughout their entire lives when they're growing up, especially if they were not diagnosed early on in life, they get hit with constant, on the one hand, criticisms, and on the other hand, constant messages about if you only, if you only tried harder, if you only paid more attention, coming from people who are neurotypical, who don't understand the struggle of ADHD, This is one example. Of course, it doesn't have to be the case that you have ADHD, but it could be like, for one reason or another, like maybe you got comfortable in being kind of an almost, person. Like you almost made it. Kind of makes me think of that movie, Almost Famous, I don't know if you've watched it. It was an old film. Well, probably not that old, or I don't know, maybe early 2000s. I guess it is pretty old by today's standards. I just realized this is 2026. I think it was like maybe in the early 2000s, this movie with Kate Hudson about a band that became almost successful or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The movie is not relevant, but that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting here. In the sense that even though many of you, if not all of you, you have things you want to achieve, you have goals, you have dreams, I feel a lot of creativity here, especially with this Temperance and the Star. Like I said, originality, and also with the Sun energy coming through as well. And some Venus going on as well, There is this feeling of you're terrified maybe of change, even if you're not particularly successful by societal standards, because you're afraid to lose your sense of identity. Like maybe you've started to identify as the person who's not particularly successful, right? Or it's like you've gotten comfortably numb. That's another one, especially with this Death and Hangman here. This is such a contradiction. It's almost like you're terrified of moving away from your state of confusion and numbness. You know, this is wild. See how this resonates, but this is like one of the main reasons I'm getting, one of the main messages, sorry, that I'm getting, if not the message that I'm getting. But in general, irrespective, now, there could be multiple reasons why you have a fear of failure. Maybe you had, it doesn't have to be like you were neurodivergent. Maybe you had very critical family role models when you were growing up, you know, like who constantly put you down. Maybe you have some deep-seated belief that, like, for instance, a lot of people who are raised in narcissistic families or with people who are abusive, one way or another, they can develop a fear of failure because they're constantly criticized, because narcissists will magnify every little flaw, every little mistake will be blown out of proportion, you know, and it will be treated like, oh, you're such a failure, you're such disgrace on the family, etc. So it can create this very deeply rooted fear of failure to the point where the person doesn't even try. Or at the same time, it could also be fear of success, which can also be another way to look at this. You know, could be either way. So fear of success, fear of failure, kind of almost the same. And it could be rooted in the same thing. Like you're terrified of changing the status quo because maybe you're afraid of the consequences. So like on the other hand, you could be afraid of success because you're thinking, well, if I become successful, everybody's going to hate me. You know, like maybe you are right now in a circle of people, whether it's your family or your friends, who are used to you being at a certain level, you know, like you hear this all the time happening when, for instance, someone goes through a significant glow up, particularly among women. I used to hear this in the past. I don't know if it's so much the case because of body positivity, but it used to be in the past, you know, where if a woman lost a significant amount of weight or she went through some kind of significant glow up where she became very attractive, suddenly all of her friends disappeared overnight, you know, because she was suddenly seen as a threat, or because other people felt like now she was arrogant, or, you know, that they couldn't keep up with her or whatever, stuff like that. So there could be like some deeply seated beliefs there somewhere in the back of your mind that if you change the status quo, you know, whichever your situation is, so either if you're someone who has reached a certain level of success, you know, and stability, you're afraid to risk that, okay, because you're afraid of other people judging you. But on the other hand, it's the same thing if you don't have a lot of success, and if you finally become successful, you might be thinking, well, great, I'm not even going to have the few people around me that I do have right now because they're going to see me as a threat or something. So this is pretty much what I see about this. Now, Seven of Swords and the Moon here, this is the past. It could be recent past. It could be the past, you know, going down, going way back all the way to the beginning of your life, you know. And we have Seven of Swords and the Moon. Oh, wow. Oh, you're not gonna lie. I really wonder if some of you have, you know, some kind of neurodivergence, because this would make sense. See, even if you're not neurodivergent, okay, I wonder if some of you have like Aquarius placements, particularly Mercury in Aquarius, maybe Rahu, especially like prominently placed, Rahu conjunct Mercury or the Moon, maybe conjunct multiple planets, you know. And also with this healer message, speaking of Rahu, like I wonder if some of you have placements in Sastabisha Nakshatra or Satabishak Nakshatra, however you pronounce it, which falls in Aquarius in the sidereal zodiac, which is connected to healing and medical field and all this stuff. And it also actually is connected to the capacity to touch large audiences, either through their works or through the way that they express themselves. Like a lot of very popular comedians and even comedians and actors and artists in general have prominent Sastabisha placements. So anyway, I digress. What I was trying to say here, okay, let me just clarify, because maybe I'll get more insight. Please clarify the Seven of Swords. Oh, here comes the sun. Do, 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 do. Here comes the sun, and I said it's alright. Anyway, please clarify the moon as well. So, yeah, that makes sense to me. That does make sense. Four of Pentacles. Alright. So, this is the past. Whether it's recent past, whether it's your entire past up until this point of your life. Seven of Swords with the sun underneath. This shows me that you are the kind of person, I did mention this and I got this vibe from the beginning, and I'm still, this is a confirmation of that it feels like you're the kind of person who was always able to rely on being clever to land on your feet. Well, this is a confirmation of that. So sun clarifying the Seven of Swords shows that you're someone who's very clever. Okay, you're kind of sneaky. I'll be honest, a little bit of sneaky here. You may have even resorted to deception, maybe even deceiving yourself in some ways, with respect to maybe how honest you were or how moral you were or something like that. Doesn't have to be the case, but the sun with the Seven of Swords clarified by the sun, this is very creative thinking. This is about being sly and strategic, okay? So in the past, this shows me not just sly and strategic, sorry. It's not just about being rational, which is the Seven Swords and the sun. It's also about creative, being creative. So this shows me that up until this point in your life, you have gotten by on your creativity, on your capacity to be sly, and to find the shortcuts and to find the loopholes. And I think that even though in some ways, you may have had a hard time, you also got pretty good at slaloming through a lot of obstacles. And maybe that's also why this first position here, Seven of Wands with the 10 of Wands, is showing that you're having a hard time right now. Like maybe it's the times of reckoning right now where for one reason or another, maybe because of the circumstances you're in right now that are very specific, you're not able to kind of slalom your way out of things. You have to go about it in the hard way. It kind of reminds me of that quote that said, the only way forward is through. So it's like you're in a position right now where you can't slalom anymore. There's no creative way out. There's no loophole. You have to just work through it. And it's really hard, okay? And then we have the moon and the Four of Pentacles. You are also someone who's very intuitive with the moon. And the Four of Pentacles, this makes me think that financially, so this could be a reference to finances. It's like you've scraped by up until this point with the Four of Pentacles. Yeah, so it gives me a vibe that you're not someone who has ever really had a very, very comfortable financial position, pile number 3. So again, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the vibe that I'm getting. Because the Four of Pentacles with the moon, it shows that in the past you were very, very motivated to maintain any sense of security you could get by pinching every penny, like you, and again, for some of you, this could be recent history. Like I said, could be recent past, could be the past year, could be the past 5 years, could be the past month. For some of you, this is a lifelong trajectory, like I said. So see it how it resonates. Take it how it resonates. But I do see that your desire, your capacity to be sly, and your talent, your creativity, was motivated by a desire for security, safety, emotionally and physically, And now we have Three of Pentacles clarified by Five of Cups. So this is the advice that Spirit has for you with respect to what actions you should be taking in the month of March to make the most of your circumstances, which is really positive. It's not exceptionally positive, but it's pretty positive. I would say above average. Now, Three of Pentacles is a message of definitely keep doing whatever it is you're doing right now, all right? So you're on the right path, pile number 3. And Five of Cups speaks of opportunities that are coming towards you, okay? So Three of Pentacles in particular connects to career. It connects to, but it's specifically about the beginning of a career, you know? So it's like being at the beginning of a new path in your career. So this could be a new job. Maybe you've recently started a new job. Maybe you're working towards changing your career path altogether. Maybe you've recently become self-employed. So again, it could be a wide variety of scenarios because this is a general reading. But whichever your specific circumstances are, you feel like you are just learning the ropes, basically, in whatever path you are currently on. So you're at the beginning stages, but Spirit is definitely giving you a pat on the back and telling you that you are on the right track, okay? So keep doing whatever it is you're doing. Keep working towards your goals. Do it in a way that is steady, direct, and, you know, honest, hard work, that kind of thing. And the Five of Cups is about opportunities that will be showing up in front of you. So Spirit is telling you, make the most of these opportunities that are going to come up, right, in the month of March. And Five of Cups is also a message simultaneously. It's a message about not crying over spilled milk, really. In the traditional Rider-Waite deck, which is not the most traditional, it's not like the original, it's not like it's the oldest tarot deck ever, but it's the one that most people learn with nowadays, you know, it's like the Bible of tarot readers. And the Rider-Waite deck shows that the Five of Cups is, you know, it shows that person who has, you know, like 3 cups fallen down next to them, and they're looking at the cups that have spilled over. And at the same time, they fail to realize that they have 2 other cups that are still upright behind them. So there's kind of like this message of not looking at the glass half empty and not crying over spilled milk. Okay, like no point in moping over the past or past mistakes. You need to move forward and you need to make the most of the opportunities in front of you. Because here's the problem, basically. If you keep looking back, you might be missing out on opportunities that are right in front of you in the month of March. And the Five of Cups is actually really positive. It generally tends to show that there are going to be quite a lot of opportunities presenting themselves for you. Or maybe it won't be that many, but they will be pretty big, right? So you have to be ready to make the most of them. And you have to be present and forget about your fears, basically, in order to make the most of them. Hello, you have this message of open your greater vision to see the signs, focus on priorities, and eliminate distractions. You have a bright future. Let yourself ascend to new heights. Crap. I didn't even really take in this message when I read this thing about fear of failure. So it's such a strong confirmation. It's a repeated message that you're being held back by your own beliefs, basically, and your own fears. Maybe there's an issue, again, with Venus and the Sun. There could be serious issues connected to self-confidence and self-esteem. So that's something worth looking at. And then we have Queen of Pentacles clarified by Ace of Wands. Now, the 6th position in the spread is about outcomes. So it does not necessarily refer to something that's going to happen by the end of March. In some situations, it could be, especially if you make the most of everything that I just talked about. But it could also represent something that is going to happen at some point down the line as a result of the way that you live during the month of March, basically. But whichever the case is, it's very positive. Whether it's going to be recent future, right, like, near future, or like further down the line, this is definitely showing that very positive things are going to come out of you being able to make the most of opportunities this month, pile number 3, and working through your confidence issues, you know? And it's also like an interesting combination of sun and moon here. And there was that message with the amber, masculine, 3rd chakra, water. So there was that message of like using your masculine to protect yourself. So I feel like Spirit is telling you, you have to keep on the path of blending both rational thinking and intuition at the same time, like finding a balance between your emotions and also your reasoning strategic abilities, not dismissing either one of them. And the Queen of Pentacles, as I was beginning to say, clarified by the Ace of Wands, this shows that if you play your cards right, no pun intended, you're going to become that Queen of Pentacles. So this could even be for some of you being self-reliant, but like more than self-reliant, like almost like an entrepreneur. Maybe for some of you, literally an entrepreneur. So if you've tried to become that, you could become self-sufficient financially. So look at the giant jump here from 3 of Pentacles, 4 of Pentacles here. Let's see. You have no other pentacles here. So look at this, like your pentacle situation up until this point is 3 of Pentacles, 4 of Pentacles. So that shows meager earnings. All right. No offense. I'm just reading the cards. And then all of a sudden it takes a giant jump to the Queen of Pentacles. You know, that's like if you were playing a video game, that's like skipping through, you know, from the first or second level all the way to level 30 or something in one giant leap. Because the Queen of Pentacles, unlike the 3 or the 4 of Pentacles, this shows someone who handles their business, someone who is in a very comfortable financial position, who has a lot of resources at their disposal. And it's kind of like the king or queen of their castle, you know? And the Ace of Wands underneath is telling me that this Queen of Pentacles will come to you as a result of taking action, okay? Being enterprising, plowing through obstacles, basically. Doesn't mean becoming a bull in a china shop and, you know, making enemies, but being determined, basically, not hesitating, not being in that hangman sort of energy, okay? Forget about the hangman. You're moving forward, right? You're not a bull in a china shop. You're taking the bull by the horns, that kind of thing. So you have to persevere and push forward through obstacles. Again, the only way forward is through. With this 10 of Wands, they came out twice for you. All right, this is pretty much what I see here. I'm going to pull a clarification because I'm curious. All right, I need to please clarify the Ace of Wands. I need to get more. I was going to say no, I'm not going to pull another clarification. Oh my gosh. 2 of Cups. Please clarify the Queen of Pentacles. 8 of Wands, the Queen of Pentacles. I did say that, right? 8 of Wands. Holy shit. Pile number 3. So this is I didn't get the urge to clarify for nothing. As usual, Spirit doesn't give you ideas for nothing. All right, because this is a pretty important clarification. So 8 of Wands clarify the Queen of Pentacles doesn't just say, hey, if you handle your business at some point, this is going to happen for you. It's going to happen fast, okay? So 8 of Wands, clarifying the Queen of Pentacles, shows that whatever you do this month is going to be extremely significant with respect to how fast you will progress in your career and finances in the future. So this could be, like I said in the beginning, for some of you, you might even see things happening quickly during the month of March. Like, I don't know, maybe you're going to get a promotion. Again, if you're self-employed, maybe you're going to see a significant increase in income or something like that. But the 8 of Wands is also telling you, it's a very important message of nothing is really in your way. Energetically, the coast is clear, kind of that sort of thing. So if you feel like there are obstacles in your path, most likely they are in your head, basically. They're basically the voices in your head keeping you from moving forward. Pile number 3. So this is definitely food for thought, okay? Working on your self-esteem, your self-confidence should be your number 1 priority to make the most of these opportunities that are coming towards you. And now the 2 of Cups, again, this is moon energy. And normally this is about romance, I have to say. But in this context, so it could actually be in a far-fetched roundabout way. This could show not necessarily that, so for some of you, see how this resonates. For some of you, this could be that if you have a romantic partner, that they're gonna support you, you know, like in reaching your goals, especially if you, again, have had fears that maybe some of you here, you know, you've wanted to, for instance, work by yourself or like quit your job, but you were afraid that your partner was not going to support you. Okay. So this is showing that most likely your partner will support you. All right. For those of you who resonate with that. Now, there is another possibility that if you're single, indirectly, because of you taking these actions, these steps forward towards bettering yourself and your circumstances, that you are finally going to meet a decent romantic partner with the Two of Cups. I mean, this is not just any partner. This is someone who is basically cut from the same cloth as you, you know, like a soulmate, someone who is willing to meet you halfway, someone that you can be yourself around, where you understand each other, you can accept each other, you know, you see each other for who you really are, and you're mutually supportive, etc., etc. So this is what it shows. All right. Very positive, pile number 3, I have to say. And also, again, self-love. This could also be self-love as well as partner, you know, not just self-love, because the self-love message came first. So if you do all of the work, let's not forget, this is the outcome, okay? So if you go through all of the work that I talked about, including working on your self-confidence, your self-esteem, and healing your wounds, right? Working on your self-love, you are going to finally reach this Two of Cups relationship. All right? Let's see. Let me get the Astro cards. Spirit, tell me about pile number 3. What is coming towards them in the month of March 2026? Pluto. That makes sense with the death. Oh my gosh. So many so many confirmations. Pile number 3. So we have Pluto, okay? The ruler of Scorpio in tropical astrology. So this is a strong confirmation for the death card. We have 5th house, joy and play. So 5th house corresponds to Leo and naturally corresponds to, which is naturally ruled by the sun, I mean. So this goes hand in hand with this self-love and confidence energy. I think I've mentioned this actually. Yeah, please let me know if this resonates. But I'm pretty sure at one of the readings that I did for predictions for 2026, there was one pile that also had this repeated energy of the 5th house. By the way, you also have number 5 coming through a lot of the times. And I'm pretty sure that I said something similar in that reading, and I stand by it in this one as well, that the number 5 showing up so many times could connect to the 5th house being very, well, not very, depending on the situation, could be damaged in some ways, you know, because the 5th house, and just as I've mentioned there, I'm going to say it again. What I've noticed, for instance, astrologically, is that people who have damaged 5th houses, so that means having malefic planets in there, like Saturn, Mars, Rahu, Ketu, or having malefic planets aspecting the 5th house, or having the Lord of the 5th house being very damaged or debilitated, you know, aspected by malefics again, etc. So a heavy 5th house situation generally shows people who have felt like, well, number one, that they felt like they had a shitty childhood. Depending on the planet sitting there or how it's debilitated or challenged, it could show situations like being bullied when you were a kid, feeling ostracized, not getting along with your peers. And a lot of the times it actually also shows that the parents didn't really make the child feel accepted and loved for who they really were. So like the child grows up having this false identity attached to them. It really goes hand in hand with everything that I saw from the beginning. Again, especially if maybe some of you are neurodivergent. I'm sorry if this sounds a little bit negative, but I think the reading overall is very positive. So it's showing you that you are on the right path, that you're going to have a lot of opportunities in front of you, and things are definitely changing for the better. Hello. So it's a great thing. But on the other hand, this explains that deeply rooted, you know, maybe negative belief system, maybe a lot of fears of failure, you know. So one explanation with a damaged fifth house could definitely be having parents who made you feel like they only loved you as long as you behaved in a certain way, that often for you felt inauthentic, like you were not really allowed to be yourself, not really. And like your parents didn't really want to know who you really were, like they were only interested in projecting things onto you and put you under a specific role in the family, etc. So with the fifth house being damaged, there's definitely wounding surrounding being able to be yourself, being loved for who you are, being accepted for who you are. There's a lot of inner child healing that has to take place, I have to say, with the fifth house. Now, for some of you, again, depending on your path in life, some of you might actually have children, and so the fifth house also shows that not only that you may have dealt with this stuff in your own time, I mean in your life, but that now you might be called upon revisiting these things and, you know, kind of like rethinking your entire attitude towards how to deal with children because of the way that you grew up, you know. So somehow dealing with kids might come to the forefront in March. And fifth house can also be education, of course. So fifth house can also be, you're going to have to focus a lot on your studies, for instance, in the month of March, or studying something new. But fifth house also speaks of creativity, you know, joy, artistic capacity, you know. So like focusing on your creativity, doing things for fun. Spirit is definitely encouraging you to do that as well. Doesn't mean that, you know, you should allow it to become a major distraction, because hello, you had those messages about ignore distractions. But it does show that, you know, every once in a while you do have to take time and smell the roses and enjoy yourself, you know. Just like that line from The Shining, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So, just saying. And we have North Node of the Moon, such a strong confirmation, just what I was talking about, which is Rahu in Vedic astrology, and the natural co-ruler of Aquarius in Vedic astrology together with Saturn. So again, I wonder if many of you have a strong Rahu, and or you're maybe going through the Rahu Dasha or Rahu Antardasha, or you're going through some major Rahu transits right now where it's activating a lot of your planets, or it could be a combination of all these things. But Rahu, as the North Node of the Moon, see, look at what it says, new life goal. This is definitely a very, very strong confirmation of everything that I said before. This is about you moving into an entirely new chapter of your life and letting go of the past. Okay? Just like in Frozen. Let it go, let it go. Whatever, I don't know the lyrics, but you know what it is. You can look for it. But Rahu is about you finally moving towards what you should be focusing on in this lifetime, because Rahu, from the theory of Vedic astrology, represents lessons we need to learn in this lifetime to develop, for our soul to develop. It also simultaneously shows things that we have not developed that well in the past, okay? And Rahu definitely makes sense with this star energy and with this Queen of Pentacles and with the Venus energy, in the sense that Rahu is also materialism, and it's because it's connected to Aquarius, and therefore the 11th house, which is large groups of people, large audiences. There is a connection to you getting more attention, more recognition, and in turn, that may be leading you to that Queen of Pentacles energy of getting more material abundance in your life. We have opposition, tension, and opposites. So this could refer to your own inner conflict. So I see the opposition as the Temperance, actually, a little bit. So it could be like an inner conflict between different sides of yourself, or it could be you having opposite interests, okay? So trying to balance different interests and deciding what you want to prioritize more, because again, the more interests you're trying to juggle at the same time, the less you're going to do either of them particularly well, right? So maybe you need to rethink things and decide you need to let go of one or the other interest. Now, opposition, on the other hand, having in view the Two of Cups, could also show that maybe you will meet someone significant who's going to be like an opposite in some ways, but opposition is also a sign of attraction, you know. It's also why the 7th house, which is the house of the spouse in astrology, is opposite the 1st house, which is the house of the self, you know. So there could be some attraction happening in the month of March. I don't know. Moon, okay, is a confirmation. Well, you have Moon already. You have Moon here. There's a number 2 coming through a lot of the times. So Moon is, again, just like it suggests, it's about emotions. It's about your need for security. So I feel like this has been an ongoing theme for you, looking at Moon showing up in the past. And maybe in this month, again, because of that Queen of Pentacles, like I said, I mean, there are high chances that you will see significant increase of your sense of security, both mentally and materially, in the month of March, because there's that 8 of Wands energy that shows, you know, things are happening for you and they're going to happen really quickly if you stay on course and if you eliminate your distractions, just like the cards say. Eliminate distractions, right? Keep your eyes on the prize and keep working towards real solid results like that 3 of Pentacles suggests. All right. Yeah, on the other hand, well, not on the other hand, at the same time, the Moon can also show creativity, right? So all the Moon and Sun energy, definitely 5th house, Moon, Sun, your creative capacity is at the max basically in March. So that's definitely going to help you a lot. And it is supported again by the 2nd position here. So it basically falls back on that original message that I mentioned, that your strength is your creativity, your originality. And you also have these messages that basically tell you to listen to your own well, I don't want to say voices in your head, but to your own intuition, all right? You have this message here, like you have powerful healing gifts, have faith in your abilities, stay true to your path as a healer. So I really feel like, again, because of that Rahu energy that I was talking about, and Sastabisha, of course, cannot come out because I did not take the Nakshatra notes out. But Sastabisha is connected to, like I said, Rahu. It's ruled by Rahu. It falls in Aquarius. So I definitely see that the North Node here is kind of a confirmation, at least partially for some of you, that there's some Sastabisha energy here, or Satabisha, however you want to pronounce it. I've heard all kinds of pronunciations. But with the healer, it's a strong confirmation, like that some of you are meant to maybe become healers in some way, whether it's maybe through a medical field or through psychology, maybe through some kind of alternative methods, you know. And yeah, it's like Spirit is telling you that you need to have faith. You need to have faith in your capacity and listen to that little voice, and also go by what you have noticed and what you know about yourself, right, when it comes to your healing abilities, even when you have naysayers, because, you know, naysayers will naysay. Let's see with the Astro Die. Spirit, tell me about pile number 3. What is happening for them in the month of March 2026? Tell me. Oh my gosh. This is also Ketu. Wow. You have both Rahu and Ketu. You are going through some kind of major karmic stuff, pile number 3. Like, whatever it is, it's pretty fated. We have the number 8 again, which is materialism. It's also connected to, again, Pluto, Scorpio energy. So there's a message of transformation, but number 8 can also be connected to the 8 in numerology, which is ruled by Saturn. So it's about you having to work hard. And we have Virgo, which is also connected to healthcare, right? So Virgo energy can just show that, you know, you need to focus on, well, for those of you who, again, maybe are actually working towards something medical related, medicine, something like that, the Virgo is a strong confirmation that you are on the right path. You know, you have to keep doing whatever it is you're doing and developing your talents in that direction. Virgo is also about kind of preserving your energy. So don't waste your energy on things that are not worth it, right? Because Virgo is the sign of self-preservation. And it's also about working hard at your craft, and it's about attention to detail. You know, Virgo is basically very much connected to analytical, logical thinking. So this is definitely going to help you in the month of March. And maybe for many of you, you're going to learn a lot of new information. Maybe you're going to, you know, learn new skills and stuff like that with all that Virgo energy. Especially if it's something connected to natural sciences. Yeah. And again, the Virgo is also about daily routines, and it's about your health. You know, so taking care of your health, that is an important message in the month of March as well. And yeah, this is pretty much it. Pile number 3. Very strong messages as usual. I really hope you have enjoyed this. I definitely have. Again, did not expect this reading to be this long. But once again, I will remind you, if you would like to subscribe to my channel, it's the easiest way to support me, and it is free. Also, consider clicking on the notifications bell if you want to see when I will post a new reading on my channel. Also, feel free to comment in the comment section. I am very curious to hear, you know, feedback about this reading. Of course, feel free to come back in a few weeks or maybe after the month of March and see how this prediction plays out. Tell me how it resonated. If you also have ideas for future topics that you would like me to cover on my channel, feel free to share them in the comment section. I will take them into account. And also, if you're interested in getting a private tarot reading from me, you can check out the video description. I will leave my email address there. You can email me for a pricing ranges and for reading options and any other details you're interested in. I mention this all the time. You don't have to worry because I do not save those emails and I don't spam people afterwards. So I'm only going to answer with the information you ask for. Aside from that, I've also left a link in the video description to reviews that I have gotten for private readings before. I used to do readings anonymously on this platform years ago just to test myself, and I've gotten a lot of very good feedback and reviews. So yeah, go ahead and check them out. It might help you decide if you want to get a reading from me. Aside from that, if you would like to support my channel further, of course, by subscribing to my, membership section. I only have 3 videos posted in my membership section so far, but I hope to continue with some other videos next. Soon, within the next week or so. But yeah, you can do so by becoming a member on my channel, and you could also leave me a tip if you're feeling generous. Any amount is very much welcome. And of course, you can share this video with as many people as possible, especially if you know people who are interested in tarot. Last but not least, I do want to mention I have an astrology channel. It's called Astro Martine. I will link it in the video description as well. I focus mainly on Vedic astrology there, but also with some tropical insights. I have more than 20 years of experience in reading horoscopes, more than 10 in Vedic, which is my preferred method right now. So that means I use the sidereal zodiac together with the whole sign house system. And I use a lot of practical, hands down, how should I put it? Like, not exactly hands down because it's like an astrology channel, but it's hands-on, sorry, not hands down. But it's, I use a lot of practical examples, meaning horoscopes of famous people. So when I do videos on synastry, meaning relationship astrology, or whether it's natal astrology, I like to use a lot of examples because I think examples are very important. That's how you learn. And I also use a lot of my insights from tropical astrology on my sidereal Vedic channel, because there is a lot of stuff where I feel like tropical astrology does provide valuable observations, even though according to traditional Vedic it's not really looked at. But yeah, and in addition to Vedic and tropical, I also use insights from other systems that I've studied over the years, even though I don't specifically name them necessarily. But I'm talking about things like Batsa, Ziwei Doshu from Chinese astrology, numerology, the Mayan zodiac, feng shui even, and some more metaphysical things that I really cannot talk about at all. But yeah, this is pretty much what I wanted to say. Of course, if you're interested in astrology, go ahead and check out my astrology channel, Astro Martine. Again, I will be linking it in the video description. Maybe subscribe to it as well. I would greatly appreciate it. And thank you very much for listening. I really hope you have a great March of 2026. And I hope to see you at my next tarot reading.